All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Market Close. It is Friday, July 18th. We are ending out the third week of Q3. Folks, we've had a lot of things happen since the beginning of the day of the market open in regards particularly to crypto, which is one of the main stories that we've got going on today. But the title of this stream is probably a bit confusing to some people. And it was a bit confusing to me until I found out exactly what was going on. But yeah, there is a shot that Robinhood, which got to 113 this morning and is now at 109, up 3.42% of the day, does get into the S&P 500. There is a shot. Where is that shot coming from? Well, apparently, Chevron finished their acquisition of Hess today. And as a result, Hess was in the S&P 500. There is a spot that is opened up. So Barron's put out an article today. We will likely at 5:15 p.m. Eastern getting an announcement from the S&P 500 committee on a new company that will be joining into the S&P. Robinhood and AppLovin are obviously some of the leaders. They have the highest market caps in regards to all the companies that could be included. Robinhood is second below AppLovin. It might be an energy company. It might be some other random company, but we saw the Trade Desk and Datadog get in over the past 2 weeks after acquisitions were completed from other companies that got out of the S&P 500 because they were acquired, and then Trade Desk and Datadog got in. I don't know if it's going to be Robinhood. I don't know if it's going to be AppLovin. I don't know if it's going to be some random company like Williams-Sonoma that none of us are thinking of. It could be another energy company because it's replacing an oil and gas company. But the point is, there's a chance. There is a chance. And so I found this out today. I really don't want to hype it up too much because honestly, in all reality, I'm expecting some random company to get in and we're just going to be having to wait until September. And then if it doesn't happen in September, it probably will happen next year. But hopefully it could happen. But if it doesn't, it is what it is. So Robinhood right there, 109, that is up 3.6%. And that's kind of running, now it makes more sense. Why did it go to almost 114 in the morning? Maybe because of the speculation that, hey, they're going to get into the S&P 500. AppLovin was also running in the pre-markets. And then when the market opened, look, it got to 375.50. Now it's back down to 365, probably based on that speculation that they could get to the S&P 500. And so from that perspective, yes, MicroStrategy also does have a chance today. Maybe it's MicroStrategy. We will find out at 5:15. It's going to be one company, and we should be getting that announcement. Webull, it would be funny if it's a Webull. It's probably not Webull since they're not eligible from a market cap requirement. But if you're in this, congrats. I got out of it. I went into Hood. It was safer for me from my own perspectives. Even if I was in this, I had 14, 15 covered calls, so I wouldn't really be able to qualify for these gains. But 1650 on Webull. It's breaking out. IBKR had an incredible earnings, and that's why it's also getting momentum. They just brought back crypto yesterday. If you're in the stock, congrats. And if you're heavy in the stock, it is obviously doing very well. So Webull right here up 15%. Bitmine, that's up 1.67. Appcelera, great day. That's up 15%. Grab looks like it might get a 530 close, which would be awesome. That's up 2%. Tessie, 328. It did hit 330 at one point. S&P 500 barely down on the day. SoFi did lose 22. That's at 2170. Apple, 210. That's green. Google, 184.92, almost 185. And then NVIDIA down at 172. The major news of the day is crypto. Donald Trump just signed it into law. Folks, this is the most important legislation we've had in crypto or in the financial system for a very long time. I would say at least since Dodd-Frank, this is the most important piece of legislation. Here's what he had to say before he ended up signing these three bills into law today.
The entire crypto community, for years, you were mocked and dismissed and counted out. You were counted out as little as a year and a half ago. But this signing is a massive validation. And even before this signing, over the last year and a half, I think your stuff has gone up more than any stock, or just about more. A couple of stocks that were pretty good, I will say. But you have certainly, as an industry, gone up more than anybody. Nobody's gained the respect in such a short period of time. But this signing is a massive validation of your hard work and your pioneering spirit and your ability to never give up, because a lot of people would have given up 2-3 years ago. So I want to thank you for contributing to the incredible strength of America. This is going to make it stronger, and congratulations on this incredible achievement. You've made our dollar look really good and strong and powerful. It's good for the dollar and it's good for the country. And that's why I backed you at an early stage. And I also did it for the votes, because you did come out and vote. I will tell you.
So that was the crypto announcements. We have some more clips I'm going to play in a little bit. On top of that, we did have this one moment that I just thought was, I just thought it was really funny. Let me just share this right here. Trump said, all right, we're signing the Genius Act. And well, he said, He said it was named after him.
It's a very important act, the Genius Act. They named it after me, and I want to thank you. I want to thank you.
I'm not gonna lie, I thought that was funny. So all these crypto names, Coinbase, Robinhood, Webull, now that they brought back crypto, MicroStrategy. I mean, some of them are a little bit off on the day. Some of them are probably a little bit of sell the news. Coinbase did crack 440 this morning. Coinbase right here, 416. So as you can see, that one took a little bit of a dip. Robinhood, although it got to 113, if it closes at 110, that's still pretty damn good, even 109 for the day. So a bit of a sell the news across crypto, but overall, it seems like that is the catalyst right here. Webull might break $17. It's 1680 right now, up 16% of the day. And that is what's helping the entire industry. Bitcoin right here, 117. And then Ethereum is also, it was at 3650 in the morning. Ethereum right here, 3550. So that one is down by about $100. Here is Vlad on CNBC today talking about how important this legislation is. And folks, he has a new haircut.
Stablecoin legislation for you.
It's incredibly significant. I think it shows that this country is ready to take the lead globally with digital assets, and it should be in the lead. Digital assets, along with artificial intelligence, are the two frontier technologies that are not just going to shape the future of the financial industry, but the future of every industry. So we're really happy about this. We think, and we spoke about this last time from France, that connecting crypto technology to assets that have real world utility is how you actually unlock a tremendous amount of potential for this technology and unleash it. So stablecoin, if you think about it, is the most basic form of tokenization. You're not tokenizing stocks, but you're tokenizing dollars and US treasuries. So I think this paves the way for the entire financial system to eventually be powered by crypto technology, and that to lead to much more value to users and much better economics. So we're excited to support that and for what's to come with clarity and beyond.
I think it's like a multi-trillion-dollar source of demand for future T-bills that has just conveniently arrived for this White House and for the deficit as well. But Vlad, I'm curious, you bring up the tokenization thing, which I know after our interview and after your launch over there was a lot of back and forth about, wait, does this actually represent a security? And, are the private companies involved really on board with this and so forth? I mean, I think that debate actually tells you, even as far as the industry's come to this point, there's still a lot of road left to go. What more needs to change on the legislative and regulatory front for you to feel like it's, fully unleashed to be living up to the potential that you foresee?
I think there's certainly more to be done to get tokenization of real world assets live in the United States, but there's actually a lot of excitement. You've seen many statements by the chair of the SEC, Paul Atkins. You've seen statements by Commissioner Hester Peirce about how they're actually very keen to create a workable framework to allow tokenization of securities. So I think it's going to take some work to figure out exactly what that looks like.
Yeah.
But of course, Robinhood's very excited to not just lend our expertise, but also demonstrate through our work in the EU how we can actually have functioning product and market that adds a tremendous amount of value to our customers. So we'll keep iterating on that, but I think there's no better way than real product in customers' hands, and we've delivered that in the EU.
And he's right. The tokenized new products are in the EU and they are live. I like the haircut, folks. I like it. I mean, I am a fan of the haircut, so I think it is not a bad haircut, but it also does mean that, he probably got that haircut because he was going to the White House, was in front of all these fancy people in regards to this crypto legislation being passed. I do have a little bit of a clip I'll show later of Trump actually acknowledging Vlad. He was naming all the people that were at the event, and he said Vlad Tenev, CEO of Robinhood, so that was nice to see. Robinhood right here, 101, Palantir 153, Tessie 329, and NVIDIA 172. Webull hit 17. So we got to check on Chris, bro. I only had 1,000 here. We got to check on Chris because Chris's options would have been worth a little bit more if he held them. He bought them at like 1050. So look, if you're in Webull, congrats, up 17%. It is what it is. I would personally not chase it here, but if you think it's going to 25, if you think it's going maybe higher, then it's one of those things where momentum is on its side. It looks like also, I mean, it's going to close maybe at 1650 if it actually does get a little bit hit. If not, then this is closing at basically not all-time highs because Webull was at 80, but definitely closer to all-time highs. And that's what you got right here. A lot of this seems to be happening based on the crypto legislation affecting everything, right? And so as long as earnings are good for some of these names, they can validate a ton of that momentum in the context of crypto. Bitcoin right here, 117, SMCI 5186, TLT 85, App Lovin at 364, Circle 224. This one was actually up on the day, but then it ended up coming down towards the end of the day. I think it was a sort of sell the news, even though Circle was the main beneficiary of stablecoins. And again, you know, it kind of, a lot of these names, it could happen with any of them, right? Like Webull ended up pumping towards the end of the day. Circle ended up dumping, but in the morning, Webull was basically stuck at 1450 and Circle was at 258. So it was kind of like a little bit of a, okay, sell the news, buy the news on different names. And it kind of is playing out the way we are seeing towards the end of the day. Rock Lab right here, 51. Rock Lab's at 48 today, 47.91. So that one making a nice little close towards the end of the day. Big Bear AI, this thing was at 8:30 in the morning. It's at 790. So that one, again, falling about 4%. That was up in the pre-markets during the day. CoreWeave, the investors really don't like that Core's Scientific deal that they signed. So CoreWeave right here down 7%, but Core's, I think, was actually up today. Core's was basically flat. So that one still is facing some scrutiny. Dell right here, 131. Dell, I didn't see the news on the suppliers right here. Dell was up 6%. SMCI down about 2%, but it seems like some of the suppliers got some momentum. And that's been helping them today as well. BMNR has been dumpy. I did buy 30 shares today based on some of the super chats you guys gave in the morning at 45. I am now officially bag holding BMNR at 42.06. So that one is also down 0.5%. I think Chris bought some SBET yesterday, and I believe he's up on his SBET. Oh, wow, dude. When did SBET fall 20%? Chris only bought like 12 shares, but wow, dude. I did not see SBET. SBET was at $40 in the morning. And then it's kind of sold off to like 37, but I did not see it fall 20%. So BMNR is holding on, bro, for SBET to drop 20%. You know what they did? They might have done their offering. They filed to do an offering. They can do it whatever they want. So they might have done their offering today. And that could have been diluting. Yeah, they could have been doing the ATM. By the way, BMNR is $2 billion to do dilution as well. So this could happen to, if you're in BMNR, don't laugh about it. It could also happen to you guys, including myself, because I'm in BMNR now, right? So, but at the end of the day, these treasuries are diluting to be able to buy more Ethereum. That is the entire goal for them. And so that is the long-term thesis here. Ethereum right here, 3,500. All right, we got about 30 seconds until the close. We will not find out about S&P Inclusion until 5:15. Until 5:15. So if you want to know immediately after the bell, you're going to be waiting for a while. And quite frankly, let me say this very slowly. I have no clue if we're getting in, and I don't expect for us to get in because it's freaking the S&P committee. Like, we know what happens with this stuff. If we do get in, it would explain the little bit of the run-up we have this morning, almost to 114. If we don't, it is what it is. Eventually, we will be in that committee or in that index. Just might take some more time. But it would be nice if it happens today. It would be really nice. All right, there we go. That is it for today. It is Friday, July 18th, 4 p.m. The stock market is now closed. We're closed. We are done on the day. This is the end of the third week of Q3. Third week of Q3. And folks, we have ended out the week. Robinhood ends out the week above 109, 109.60. I mean, if you told me we were going to close at 109 today, yesterday we were 105. This week we were at 97 in the morning, in Monday or on Monday. I mean, yeah, I would take that. 109.62 up about 4%. Robinhood now market cap 96.8 billion. Palantir 153. We touched 155 this week, closing at 153. The fact that we're even above 50 is kind of just amazing to see. But 153.39 right here, not a bad close for Palantir. Tesla back to 329. We got earnings on Wednesday. I think the street's running it up before we get into earnings. Nvidia right here broke 170 this week based on the China export controls going away. So that legislation being very good for GPU sales. S&P 500 627 ends flat for the day, and we'll check on the week, but I believe it was up about 2% this week. AMD 156, 2% down. SoFi lost 22, but still holding 2180, which is very nice. Grab gets a 535 close. A 535 close, which is not bad for a grab. Rocket Lab gets a green close, 51.42. Rocket Lab up about 30% for the week. Archer right here down about 1%. Dell was up 5% on the day. Google right here 185 on the close. Not too bad. Google, they've got earnings with Tesla on Wednesday, so that's going to be a very big day. Amazon right here 226. Reddit at 147.80. DoorDash at 239. Where did Webull end? Did we get 17? We got 1681 on Webull. 1681 on Webull. That was up about 16% on the day. Where is Apple as well? Apple right here 211. Apple was up 0.5% as well. Not bad. Not bad at all. Again, the S&P announcement for Robinhood will be at 5:15, so about an hour and a half from now. So if you want to come back in an hour, that's fine. But at 5:15, we will try to get the answers to see if that's the case. The S&P said that Vlad had to cut his hair in order to let Hood into the fund. If that's the reason, then I'm happy our CEO decided to take one for the team and cut his hair. So maybe that's the reason, folks. Maybe that is the reason. We're going to see how that plays out. Yeah, Open Door got a close above 220, which I mean, yeah, that's bullish. The fact that it's holding 220 on the close, that is pretty freaking bullish. Up almost 40% on the day. Soundhound right here got the 1280 close. Big Bear was down a little bit on the day, 3%. 795, Reddit 148, Amazon 226. Bezos did sell about 150 million worth of shares yesterday. Robinhood 109, Palantir 153.47. And then you got Tessie right here at 329, almost a 330 close, but still very nice to see at 329. UNH, I don't know what's going on with these healthcare stocks. Oscar as well got obliterated again today. Oscar right here down another 3%, 13.44. I mean, it's kind of hanging out in the 13s. It got 5 cents away from going below 13, which we did the deep dive when it was at 12:30. Like the day we did the deep dive in the overnight markets, it was up 10% and it got to 12:30. And then after that, it ran to 23. And now it's right back to just above from where we went once we did the deep dive. So right here, I mean, if it can hold 13, that'd be nice. But 13.45 right here on Oscar Health. Lemonade actually, I think, went a little bit of the opposite direction. Lemonade was green today at 3%, but United Healthcare was also down. AMD right here, 156. SoFi, 21.81. And then Google, 185. That's what we got. That's how this market closed. All right, let's do this now. What is your year to date? You can put it in the chat, your year to date as we end out the third week of Q3. As we end out the third week of Q3. Iman, thank you for the $50 super chat. Thanks for covering markets. Thought I have to send this because the day you talked about Webull and the NYC equity thing, a day later about 500 contracts strike 15. Never seen this much money just from a single call. Thank you again. Well, I mean, congrats. That is actually a pretty smart strategy. Basically, you went bullish when everyone went bearish. And as a result, you kind of took the contrarian bet, which, you know, to be honest, everyone after that Yorkville stuff did go bearish. And again, I didn't have a large position, but for those that really did have large positions and just got rid of it, for the past week, it's been fine because the stock has been stuck at these levels. But if you went the opposite direction, which is when there tends to be alpha, right? You go the opposite of what other people think. You tend to get some momentum right there. So that is incredible. That $15 call now that is in the money, if that was expiring soon, then that's probably doing a very, very good job in getting some momentum. Adam Zhang, thank you for the $20 super chat. Hood inclusion, hopefully it happens. Not expecting it, but if it does happen, would be exciting. Ultimately, we're going to see by 5:15 if that plays out. All right, my year to date, 97%, 97.02. 97.02%. Captain Planet's up 36. Akhil's up 45. Catalyst is up 20. Jacob, 29%. Jav, 80%. Alex, 73.7%. Martin, 97. Russell, 27.5. Ray, 81 and 54%. On beneficial, 154. Overweight on Hoodie. Gene, 45. Daisy, 51. Drew, 48. Merritt, 155. Hage, 103. Eric, 57. Tony, 400. Lewis, 35. I mean, I'm seeing 30s and aboves. 30 and a wake up, 113.87, mostly due to Rocket Lab leaps. Those must be printing for you today. Curon is 20% heavy on Tesla. Well, let's see. You know, maybe Tesla earnings gets Tesla to the party, and that 20% gets higher if Elon can deliver some decent results right there. But 20% still, even with being heavy on Tesla, which has been not as great of a Mag 7 performer. I think it's down 15% for the year. Still is not horrible at all. Not horrible at all. Theo's up 108%. Chicago's up 27%. Sing is up 122%. Dax is up 32%. I mean, these are incredible numbers. Irwin, 182%. I know Irwin's heavy in Rocket Lab. I mean, this is amazing, dude. This is amazing across the entire board. I mean, I'm barely seeing anything below at least 25%. Vin's up 300%, 37% for Ash. I mean, this is incredible. Absolutely incredible. I use one broker, just Robinhood. So for me, it's 97% of the year on Robinhood. And dude, on Monday, like, I think this was like 70%. It's up almost 30% since Monday. I think for a lot of you, it's kind of the same. I mean, just like these stocks had a major move across the entire market. And obviously Hood, NVIDIA, Palantir had some major moves towards the end of this week. And it's just been incredible. C. Foley, thank you for the $20. Appreciate it. Thank you for the $20 super chat. And again, congrats to everybody. Just a massive week. Massive week today. I mean, I'm seeing triple digits across the board. Like 28%, 138, 45%, 154. Me, 50%. Wife, 84%. I'm only 4 months in the market, but up 20%. Again, you know, when a lot of people see these numbers, they think, okay, there's too much winning, there's too much going on. But I think I'm sticking with what I said this morning because I kind of think it makes sense. It's like if everyone is saying we're toppy, does that mean we're actually not that toppy, right? If everyone is saying, all right, it's a top, but there's a wall of worry that the market can continue climbing because earnings growth is legit. I mean, look at Netflix today. Netflix, I said this in the morning, but Netflix is not pumping for the sheer fact that like the markets in general should be pumping. No, Netflix had good numbers, not great numbers. It was trading at all-time highs. Guess what? The street's like, no, you don't deserve it. We're going to take away $65 from your share price because you didn't deliver phenomenal earnings. You're at all-time highs already, so we're going to take some of it back. Now, granted, I was reading a bunch of equity reports today, and everyone on the street says 1,500 price target, 1,500, 1,500, 1,500. Like Jefferies, 1,500, UBS, 1,495, Bank of America, 1,490, Evercore, 1,375, Canaccord Genuity, 1,525, Rosenblatt, 1,500, Oppenheimer, 1,400. So street's pretty damn bullish about Q2. But regardless, right, the stock market was not going to give it that momentum if they didn't see really strong earnings. And so I think that means it's a healthy market. And that is important to understand when we think about, you know, some of the fraud that exists in this market as well. Now, in terms of SBET and BMNR, I have no idea why SBET tanked 20% outside of my assumption that they probably diluted. Again, they filed for 5 billion of shares they could dilute yesterday. So if they use some of that, I think we'll find out probably after hours. We'll see if there's an SEC filing that comes out. Then the stock obviously is going to tank if you dump a bunch of shares on the open market. BMNR kind of was following Ethereum today. Ethereum tanked a little bit. BMNR basically flat on the day, up 0.6%. Ethereum down about 1%. So it was up 10% in the morning. That one's down. I think if you get into these names, the most important thing to remember is that they will be volatile. And the embracing of that volatility is what you have to have on your radar if you're going to be in these names. Because if not, then obviously it's going to be hard to engage with some of these Ethereum treasuries as well. So that is why I think we saw some of that pain on the ETH treasuries. Did everybody sell the news on crypto? I mean, that could have been another reason why the Ethereum treasuries took a little bit of a beating. Remember crypto week, folks? Last week when Bitcoin ran from like 112 to basically 123, that was in anticipation of what we saw today with Trump. And it happened. It almost didn't happen in the beginning of the week because they had to redo the votes and stuff. But once the votes got in place, like it's not really something you can go higher on if everyone knew it was going to happen. And so it happened. It's done. And now I think we kind of have to move on. But it could have been a little bit of a sell the news from that perspective as well on some of these crypto names. Let's listen to some clips of Trump talking about it. He was just live for about an hour. And let's see some of the things he said about this crypto legislation as well.
I remember I did this and I said this and I mentioned this name and I got the greatest applause of the whole campaign. We fired Joe Biden's SEC chair, Gary Gensler. We fired him. But I remember I was making a speech and, it was just a line in a speech. And I said, and I will fire Gary Gensler. The place exploded. I said, I finished like one and I said, what the hell did that guy do? There was a lot of hatred there, I'll tell you. And it turned out, as I got familiar with everything, it turned out you were absolutely right. Exactly 1 year ago this month, many of you were with me in Nashville, Tennessee. Do you remember that day, right? That was a big day, Nashville, Tennessee, when I became the first presidential candidate ever to address the Bitcoin conference. And at that time, Crypto builders and founders were under relentless assault by the Biden administration, which was trying to crush your industry and crush you as people and go after your families. And they were a vicious group of people. You know, people don't realize that they were vicious, incompetent, but vicious. Well, Joe was an incompetent guy, but he was always known as a vicious guy. I guess if you're going to be in that, you're probably off. If they're incompetent is better, right? Because you don't want to have a vicious guy that's competent. If you did, I wouldn't be standing here today, right? But I pledged that we would bring back American liberty and leadership and make the United States the crypto capital of the world. And that's what we've done. And under the Trump administration, this is only going further. You're going to do really well.
All right. One last clip right here on the Genius Act itself.
The Genius Act creates a clear and simple regulatory framework to establish and unleash the immense promise of dollar-backed stable coins. This could be perhaps the greatest revolution in financial technology since the birth of the internet itself. A lot of people are saying that. I don't know. What do you guys think? Yes? If you say yes, I'm saying yes. I think it's great that you're involved, I will tell you. Many Americans are unaware that behind the scenes, the technical backbone of the financial system is decades out of date, many, many years out of date. You know that. Paul and others are straightening it out, but payments and money transfers are costly and take days or even weeks to clear. Under this bill, the entire ancient system will be eligible for a 21st century upgrade using the state-of-the-art crypto technology. Who would have thought we would have been saying that 2 years after I really met you for the first time? The Genius Act provides banks, businesses, and financial institutions a framework for issuing crypto assets backed one for one with real U.S. dollars, treasury bills, and other cash equivalents. It's really strengthening the dollar and giving the dollar great prominence.
There you go. So that was Trump. He was live with a bunch of these crypto leaders, Brian Armstrong, Vlad, everyone was there. And essentially, he signed some of the most important financial pieces of legislation that we've seen in the past decade. I mean, I would say since Dodd-Frank, what they just signed today into law, in particular with the Genius Act and stablecoins in regards to how that can create a framework for tokenization, but also what that means for U.S. Treasury demand, which is obviously the reason they really wanted to sign it as well. It's a massive new paradigm for the financial system. It's a massive new paradigm for the financial system. By the way, real quick, remember that astronomer CEO who was cheating on his wife at the Coldplay concert? Yeah, he just got put on leave by his company, and well, there's a 62% chance that he might get fired. So there you go, 62% chance on call sheet that he might get fired. So there you go. That's what we got with him. Here's the moment where Vlad was recognized. Let me see if I can get the exact moment by Trump. Let me pull this up. I believe this should be it. It was about 10 seconds, but let me see this.
Jeremy Allaire of Circle, Blank Winklevoss. These are two. Someone doing a great job. Thank you, Chris, very much.
All right, right here.
Vlad Tenev of Robinhood. Vlad, thank you, Vlad. Thank you, Vlad. Good.
So that was it. That was it. Vlad and Trump. He was acknowledged there. He probably cut his hair to look nice for the event. And there you go. Let's do a poll in the chat on if you guys think we'll get into the S&P. My guess right here is no. I don't think we're getting in. I really hope we get in. But the thing is, I think they might pick another energy company because obviously, you know, it was an energy company that got replaced. So I'm just doubtful on this one. I don't want to get too excited. Hood into S&P, yes or no? And I found out today, I found out 3 hours ago. I read this article popped up. I was like, what do you mean Hood could get into the S&P today? I was like, oh crap, Hess is leaving. That's correct. Hess got acquired by Chevron today. So there is a shot for a new company. The question is it going to be, the one we're thinking of? AMD right here, 156. SoFi after hours, 2177. And Google right here, 185 on the close. 55% of you say no. Yeah. I would say it's It's going to be a bit tough. Webull right here after hours, down a little bit at 1670, but still green, 15% on the day. App Lovin', that one already goes red. I mean, if Robinhood, so here's the thing, if Robinhood doesn't get in, I don't think they tank. I mean, maybe they do, but I don't think they ran up to 109 today just because of S&P inclusion. I think it was because of the Genius Act and because of all this crypto legislation stuff and because of what Paul Atkins said yesterday about tokenization. So, I mean, could we see some downside? Sure, but I don't think this whole street is expecting them to get in like they were a month ago. And so I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal if we don't get in, but if we do, I think that would be pretty productive for them as well. Imagine if SoFi gets in. Well, so SoFi, I believe their market cap needs to still be elevated for like, I think you need to hold a $20 billion market cap for like 6 months, if I'm not wrong. And for SoFi, they kind of just got to that point. So the next rebalance in January, I think SoFi is eligible for. This one, September one, I don't know if they are. I could be wrong on this, but I'm pretty sure you have to have a market cap of above 20 billion for a good 6 months before they let you in. But now they are eligible as long as they stay at this price. Going into next year, they will be eligible. LNG is not in already? How big is LNG? Isn't this a big company? 54 billion. Yeah, this could get in. Cheniere, this is up 5% on the day. Could have been up 5% off the expectation that they're going to get in. That could be the one as well. That could be the one. TTD already got in. Datadog already got in. TTD already got in already. That got in a while ago. That got in last week. And then Datadog got in the week before. So, yeah, MicroStrategy. Okay, so MicroStrategy is eligible. I just don't know if the committee is going to let a Bitcoin treasury as volatile as MSTR get in. I don't know. I mean, they let Coinbase get in, and Coinbase is super levered against Bitcoin, but MicroStrategy is really levered against Bitcoin. MSTR was down about 6% on the day. I don't know if they're ready for that yet, but maybe they do. Maybe they could put that in. So that's what we got. In about an hour, we will see what we have for S&P inclusion. All right, so let's look at some of the other headlines. This was another reason the streets went a little bearish on the market today. So this happened like right after the market close. Trump is pushing for a 15 to 20% minimum tariff on all goods from the European Union, as per the Financial Times. It seems like he's going to be using this to continue negotiations with the EU. But again, the EU, from what I've read, is not ready to negotiate if it's anything above 10% on the tariffs. So if you saw the S&P go red around like 1230, it was basically because of this headline. Now, granted, we were flat to end the day, but it looks like that August 1st deadline, which is coming up pretty soon. It's in about dude, July is almost over. Like, we're going to be there in about a week and a half. The question's now going to be, all right, do we have these deals? The market's obviously acting like we're not going to impose these Liberation Day 2.0 types of tariffs, but the EU, Canada, Mexico, South Korea, and Japan deal are really the only ones that matter. And the question simply is going to be if we can actually get into these deals officially. Isn't DoorDash in the S&P? Is DoorDash in the... if they're not, they've got a good shot too. No, I think... Yeah, they got in March 7th. They got in a while ago. DoorDash got in with Williams-Sonoma. They got in a while ago. AK Media joins S&P 500. If I did join the S&P 500, CRN would be the ticker. CRN would be. I think Apple's already in the S&P. Let's do the ETF challenge. Let's see how those are stacking up, and where they ended out for the day or for the week now. It's basically been a month since we did that challenge. Steve might be calling in. Let me see if he's available. He said he was free. If he is, we'll call him in, and I guess he'll get to see if we get into the S&P later today. Matt is up 20% all time. Tanner is up 11. I'm up 8.7. Steve's up 1.25. Chris is basically break even. He's negative 0.08. So Matt, Tanner, Amit, Steve, and Chris is the order. So there you go. There you go. Dude, imagine if Grindr got in. That would be crazy. That stock is, by the way, it took a little bit of a beating over the past week. I don't know why. I don't think they had earnings. It went from like 22 to 1991. But, you know, it was like $10 last year. Snapchat, dude, if they put Snapchat in the S&P 500, that would be Not nice to see. Snapchat, I think it broke $10 this week. Snapchat right here, 10.03. Yeah, 1.2% of the day. Jason thinks it's going to be Twilio. I was texting with Jason today. He said it's either going to be Affirm, ARM, or Twilio. So it's going to be one of those three. But he does not think it's going to be AppLovin or Hood. Hood right here, 110 after hours. Again, none of these after hour moves to me are relevant until we get the news. And from my understanding, the news is at 5:15. I mean, it could happen earlier than that. I'll keep an eye on it, but it likely will be around 5 p.m. And then we'll get a better understanding of it. So again, 5 p.m., got about 40 to 45 minutes away. And then we'll better see how this one plays out. Okay, so let me pull up this right here. We have some updates on the NVIDIA H20 China stuff. So one of the reasons why NVIDIA fell today in the morning was that there was a Republican lawmaker who wrote a letter to Howard Lutnick and said, hey, I don't feel comfortable with NVIDIA selling chips back to China. And NVIDIA went from like 174 to 172, and it kind of never recovered throughout the rest of the day. I think that's insane, and it's ridiculous. I mean, at the end of the day, we all know how important it is for NVIDIA to be able to sell America's greatest asset right now, which are these chips, to the rest of the world. But here's an update on that, and then ultimately what this means for the types of chips that NVIDIA will be giving to China.
Run on American rails. With the H20's return, NVIDIA, it remains the backbone of Chinese AI, not just through hardware, but through CUDA software too, which we talked about. It locks developers into NVIDIA's ecosystem. The downside, though, is that Chinese labs, they're getting very good at doing more with less. DeepSeek's original R1 and now the latest breakout challenger, Kimi K2, they have proved that models can be scaled and optimized on far less performant hardware. Now, despite the export ban, they've already been gaining ground, Chinese models. Take a look at the model rankings on elamarina.ai. Kimi 2, an open source model from Alibaba-backed startup Moonshot, it's in 5th place overall, jumping ahead of DeepSeek. The next non-Chinese open source model on the leaderboard, that's Mistral's, while Meta's Llama, which was once the gold standard in open source, it has fallen way down to spot number 34. Now, the hardware story may be shifting again. NVIDIA is preparing the B30. This is another export compliant chip just for China, with shipments expected as early as this quarter. AMD is sampling a China legal version of its MI300X. The net effect, guys, is that instead of starving China's AI push, the US policy is creating a parallel hardware channel just trimmed for compliance. And really, that's exactly what policymakers like AI star David Sachs intended to do. But this also opens up a new, extremely competitive leg of the AI race, where it's not about slowing anyone down, but about who can innovate and who can execute better. Markets, they could start to reflect that shift. The NASDAQ may be hitting fresh record highs, but the Chinese tech index, it is quietly outperforming this year. The K-Web basket that includes Alibaba, Baidu, Tencent, others, that's up 25% year to date versus the.
Let me know if anyone's in K-Web, which is China's tech index. Again, this is another reason why if we allow them to innovate outside of NVIDIA being able to sell them our technology, they're going to catch up. And so you would imagine NVIDIA should take a piece of that 50 billion TAM that exists in China versus Huawei or someone else. Here's an update on some of this crypto legislation, then we'll keep going from there.
Really talk about the contrast between the Trump administration and the Biden administration when it comes to crypto and trying to deliver what the industry wants there. Interestingly enough, though, a lot of these companies, Coinbase, Ripple, Andreessen Horowitz, they've all actually donated to a PAC that has been pretty bipartisan, and that PAC has had a lot of power in the 2024 election. They donated around $200 million to various candidates, and they just announced that they have a current war chest of $141 million that they plan to spend in the midterms in a bipartisan manner. And really what you saw yesterday from these bills is they do have bipartisan momentum. That's going to be really critical for a market structure bill. That is the one, the stablecoin bills getting signed into law today, but it's market structure, that broader bill for digital assets that a lot of these crypto companies really want to see. That one's not at the finish line yet. It's got to go through the Senate. We know there are some challenges there, getting the Senate, the House to work together, making sure Democrats are on board for passage. But there is hope that they can actually start moving forward on that bill, maybe near the end of September. Optimistically, maybe passage in October. But as we saw this last week, a lot of things can happen. There were a lot of speed bumps to today, and we'll be needing to watch very closely to see if they can get and keep that coalition together to deliver crypto industries the very big win they want. But certainly today with stablecoin is something that both Trump and the crypto industry is celebrating.
Emily, how much was this notion about the dollar dominance being a threat? How much of a role did that play in kind of getting President Trump involved? You had David Sachs, the crypto czar, saying that he was the deal maker in chief. He saved this bill. President Trump was talking about strengthening the dollar, giving the dollar great prominence. And he said losing the reserve currency would be like losing a world war. So was that, do you think, the critical selling piece that got President Trump more involved in this legislation?
I mean, Leslie, we've seen this story play out a number of times over the last 6 months. Congress gets very close to passing an issue. There's a last minute group of members who push back, and then Trump comes in and is able to get folks to yes. Interestingly enough, this time the issue was on preventing the Fed from creating a central bank digital currency. That's something the holdouts were looking for and pushing for there. I think for President Trump, too, the case has been made to him, as it has to a lot of lawmakers, that when it comes to crypto, the U.S. needs to have a structure in place. Otherwise, the U.S. will fall behind. They talk a lot about jobs. They talk a lot about making sure companies are coming to the U.S. That's been a big, big thing when they've been discussing this, Leslie.
So, I mean, all the bullish things we need in order for crypto to meaningfully be executed on from an operational perspective is starting to shape up. And I think regardless of what happens today with Hood in the S&P or not, I mean, like, this is just, it seems like it's going to be a really good next 4 years for crypto. And Paul Atkins, head of the SEC, is ready to unveil the ability for companies to be able to operate without being too worried. Robinhood right here, 110.30 after hours. Meta, 704. That one recovered above 700. That was below it. And then Coinbase, another major beneficiary, that was 440 today. Coinbase right here at 418, giving back a little bit of those gains, but it's been doing well. It's been doing very, very well. So, yeah, again, we will know at around 5 or 5:15, so in about 30, 45 minutes. Again, I don't really think we're getting in, but there is a shot. There is a shot. HIMS right here also 50.26. That one went green on the day. Uber 90.5. Corey again, this one took a hit, and then Rocklab 51.20 that ended above 50 on the day. We talked about in the morning. Google got upgraded multiple times to around that 215, 220. One of the firms said, hey, we expect search revenue to come in at 11%, which was surprising to me because last year was 13%, so that would still be down, but that's okay. The question is, is it going to be ahead of the street expectations, which is 9%? And so if you can get search to come in at 11% year over year, that would be incredible for Google, given the rest of the market is just expecting closer to 8.5 to 9%. And if that happens, I think that would be pretty bullish and hopefully help on Wednesday earnings. Now, here's another chart that I thought was very interesting. Foreign investor holdings of U.S. Treasuries, speaking of stablecoins, it jumped to $32.4 billion in May. It is now $9.05 trillion. This is the second highest on record when it comes to foreign investors owning our treasuries. I have some old curtains that I took down that looks like a Mitch shirt. Okay, this is, the shirt, the disrespect on the flowers. Dude, I think I got this shirt in 2016. It's been a long time since I got this shirt a long time ago. I don't even know when I bought it or if I bought it, but these are some creative comments. The increase almost fully reversed April's decline of $36 billion. Foreigners now own 31% of the U.S. Treasury market, the highest since June of 2022. So all of this complaining about the deficit and debt and big beautiful bill, yada, yada, still people are buying up our treasuries. Now, in the month of June, Canada was actually the biggest buyer, adding a net $65.8 billion. They own $430 billion of our treasuries. Japan, the largest holder, increased their holdings by $500 million to $1.14 trillion, the highest since March of 2024. And the second largest, the UK, bought about $1.7 billion, lifting its records to a record $809.4 billion. China, the third largest shareholder of our treasuries, declined by $900 million, so about $1 billion to $756 billion. This is actually the lowest since January 2009. So China's now the lowest, Japan's still the highest, and Canada, the largest increase that we've seen in about a month for U.S. treasuries, which is good. I mean, look, at the end of the day, even though the 10-year and 30-year are getting a little bit of a spike, it's not necessarily, it's not getting to the point where it's completely destroyed. And if we get those rate cuts, 4.42, that 4.4 probably gets down closer to 4.1. Christopher Waller, who is trying to become the next Fed chair, he did a big interview today with Bloomberg, basically outlining what he would do differently. And he kind of said, hey, I think it's time to cut. I think we've been too aggressive for too long. And July and September, there's not that big of a difference within 6 weeks. So we might as well cut. They don't have a meeting in August, which is why we won't see anything happen in August. But They do have a meeting between July and September. Now, the probabilities for a September cut, July probabilities are 4.7%. September, it was at 54 in the morning. It's at 57, a little bit higher. Still a little bit of a Twain cost, a Twain flip here. But if it happens, obviously that would be pretty damn bullish. I like the top half of the shirt. It's that transition to nothing. Does your sister know you stole her shirt? We need to invest in Amit's wardrobe. Amit stole the shirt from Dan Ives. These are good. These are very, very good. These are very good. Florida wallpaper shirt. Palmer Lucky shirt. That's true. It is a Palmer Lucky shirt. I said Twain cost, dude. Yeah, I meant coin flip. I meant coin toss. See, this is why that's what I was looking for. Coin toss. I legit think I'm dyslexic, bro. And and that's not shade at anyone who's dyslexic. Like, it is some of the most smartest people on the planet are dyslexic. But like, how does someone say Twain cost, bro? Like, just explain to me. How does someone come up with that? How does someone say Twain costs? Public speaking teacher, by the way. But it's not dyslexic, because dyslexia is when you're reading and the letters get mixed up. I'm speaking and the letters are getting mixed up. Like, it's weird, bro. Like, reading is fine, but as I'm speaking, I just like can't put the letters together. I think it goes back to something one of my friends told me, which is that my mind is moving faster than I can speak, and as a result, it leads to Twain costs versus coin toss. Here's an update on that 401k potential investment opportunity for alternative assets that also could be very bullish for the broader crypto industry.
401k plans. But just because investors can do it doesn't mean they will. Leslie Picker is joining us now with more. Hi, Leslie.
Hey, Morgan. Yeah, that's the key question here, right? Because technically your retirement account has been able to invest in alts for the last 5 years, ever since the Department of Labor indicated that an employer would not be skirting its fiduciary duty by including these types of assets. However, there hasn't been a broad-based allocation to 401ks, due largely to concerns around fees and opacity and potential returns or suitability. Now, the details of the of the EO are scarce, but the Wall Street Journal reported that it would instruct agencies like the DOL and the SEC to put out guidance related to this area. It's clear why the alt industry wants this. Fundraising across nearly every strategy is lower, particularly in private equity, real estate, and venture capital. And the defined contribution space opens up $12.5 trillion to potentially capture here. However, according to PitchBook, there are 3 main hurdles which are unlikely to be solved through an EO, including cost. It's expensive to invest in private assets while you can trade stocks for pennies. Lack of investment expertise among 401k plan providers. And then the big one here is litigation risk, Morgan.
A lot of that can be resolved if we change the accredited investor laws, but we haven't. And in this country, you have to have a net worth of $1 million or $250,000 a year in income to be able to invest in private assets to become quote unquote accredited, which makes no sense because anyone can buy meme coins for whatever amount of net worth they have. And meme coins are way riskier than startups. And again, the reason I'm making this comparison with meme coins is because the whole reason for the accredited investor legislation that happened back in 2012 was to protect people from investing in companies that could fail. Well, if we're not going to protect people from investing in the Trump meme coin, which is down a lot since it I guess went live back in January, then why are we so stringent on getting people access to private deals? So I think a lot of that legislation in the next couple of years has a shot to change. And if it does change, then we could see some more momentum in regards to different private assets that can catch a bid as well. So we're going to see how that plays out. For those asking about the S&P Inclusion, 515. We will see. I asked Steve if he's available. Steve is in a meeting, so he did get to join us a couple days ago for about an hour and a half, but today we might not see him, folks, because he's in his big boy job and talking with lawyers and all that stuff. So he might make an appearance later, but if not, then he won't be here. Yes, I have dyspepsia. Correct, dyspepsia. Instead of dyslexia. Milk meeting, exactly. Meeting with the police. If he keeps road raging, maybe. The inclusion comes from a company that got kicked out of the S&P today not because they're a bad company, but because they got acquired, Hess with Chevron. And so we should theoretically get an update by the end of the day. This is what happened last time on Datadog and Trade Desk. Like within the day at around 5:15, as soon as the other, because the S&P, they can't really wait. Like once a company gets out, you only have 499 companies, so you kind of have to introduce the next company. So we're definitely, I think we should definitely get an answer today. The question is just going to be who it is, and then we will see how this plays out. By the way, we have a bunch of these Trump tweets coming in from a while ago. Trump said everyone should watch Sean Hannity tonight. He really gets it. 9 p.m. Eastern. That might be an interview. He also said, I absolutely love that Colbert got fired. His talent was even less than his ratings. I hear Jimmy Kimmel is next. He even has less talent than Colbert. Greg Gutfield is better than all of them combined, including the moron on NBC who ruined the once great Tonight Show. So Stephen Colbert's show at late night, that did get essentially canned by CBS. CBS said it was a financial decision. Some people are saying it was because Colbert was speaking on Trump too harshly, and Paramount, which is the parent company of CBS, had to settle for a lawsuit that the Trump administration had that gave them $16 million. Colbert went on his show, that's owned by CBS, and he said, hey, CBS is bribing Trump. And then a week later, CBS's Your Show was canceled for financial reasons, but some people are saying, well, it might not be just for financial reasons. So Trump is giving his opinion on that as well. Greg, thank you for the $10 super chat. What do you think of Misty and Ulti? Are they good investments? So we've talked about this very much in depth. I think you cannot invest in these yield max funds unless you understand the structure of what a yield max fund does. If you don't know what a covered call is, you can't invest, or you shouldn't invest in them, in my opinion. If you don't know what a synthetic covered call is, you shouldn't invest in them. So I would really just go on Seeking Alpha. Steve has some good articles. Type in Misty. You'll find a bunch of stuff. Go on YouTube. Type in Misty Review. You'll find a ton of videos. At its core, buying Misty is giving your money to an asset manager, and the asset manager will then run synthetic covered calls, which means they're going to be buying calls and selling calls against each other instead of buying the underlying shares in order to create option premium. And that option premium will then be returned in the form of a dividend. Now, that option premium is really juicy because MicroStrategy is very volatile, and the volatility of MicroStrategy is what creates the momentum inside of these yield max funds. That dividend is then taken out of the net asset value, distributed to you. And your goal is if you hold the asset, the underlying, for a long enough time, the dividends end up paying for your cost basis. And then it just becomes essentially a money printer over time. If your average is low enough and you've DCA'd enough, where every time you get a dividend, it should be essentially house money because you've already paid off the underlying. So I would just look more deeper into them. I'm in MSTY. I think Ulti is really cool. There's a lot of them, but MSTY is the one I specifically am in. Oracle, thanks for the $10. In the meantime, currently right now, I see what you did there. Buffett's holding on to $300 billion for the next recession to look smart, plus 5% year to date. In March, everyone was glazing Buffett. What about now? Well, here's the thing. I don't know if Buffett's actually holding on to that $300 billion still, right? Because we know that Berkshire has been buying a secret stock. If you were wondering why is it secret, it's because they get special privileges by the SEC to not have to disclose the stock. So we don't know what it is. I think it's probably another insurance company. I doubt it's anything special. But I mean, look, you have a point. At the end of the day, Berkshire Hathaway has missed every important technological revolution that has happened over the past, quite frankly, 20 years. The only thing they got right to even get the fund to perform enough to the point where you could really say Warren Buffett has beat the S&P 500 is Apple. Like that's just facts. That's not even being disrespectful. It's like if they did not have Apple, he would have not beat the S&P for the past 10 years. So yeah, you're right. I mean, if he steps down and the fund's philosophy is still going to be anti-technology, which is what they're anti-tech. They quote unquote say they don't understand technology models, so they don't invest in them. So they end up buying banks and American Express and Kraft Heinz. And like, that's fine, but I don't think there's as much alpha in this AI revolution as technology. They're going to underperform over the next decade. So that $300 billion, I wonder how it's getting allocated, but he's going to look pretty damn smart if we get a massive crash. I don't think, we're going to get that massive crash. I think momentum is high, but if we do, I think that's what, that's what would be justifying that $300 billion. Speaking of a massive crash, let's hear a little bit of a bearish sentiment from Jenny Harrington and get her perspective on why she's not buying this rally, at least not yet.
That are already stretched. The consumer is starting to show little signs of cracks. There's a lot out there. I also don't see anything that wildly derails it. So I think within earnings season, we're probably going to have some big booms, some big busts in the individual company level. But I'll bet you that collectively we kind of come out with a meh. So when we think about this rally, you know, what are we up right now on the year? 6%, 7% for the 7%ish year to date. What if we end there? How wonderful would that be after years of plus 20% in 24 and 23? So that'd be wonderful. So I kind of think of the rally as let's just hope it sustains to this point and that nothing knocks the wind out of the sails. But I just don't see how with 9%ish expected earnings growth, with a 22 times multiple, with all the uncertainties out there, I don't see how we end up 14% on the year. I don't think we have another 7% in the second half.
I want to touch on your first point about the market being, valuations being a bit stretched. S&P right now trading about 22 times. 5-year average is 20. NASDAQ at about 27.5. 5-year average is about 25.5. Weiss, I'm coming over to you. Do you see something derailing this rally? Do you see the markets just moving sideways? Does something lead us to moving lower? Again, we have that August 1st tariff deadline that Jenny was just alluding to. Is that potentially a catalyst for a downside move?
Potentially, but we've seen that will get extended. My bet is it does get extended.
So taco trades in play.
Yeah, but it's also, look, as I mentioned, I spent a lot of time in private markets, and deals never close when you want to. I think the mistake they made, the administration, was advertising we're going to get this done quickly. Trade deals take take years. So I think you'll see some agreements in principle. I think the positive that could be, you get a major deal with India. There's a word that could be coming. The EU, you hear that also, but that's less likely because so many head of cattle are herd. But that'll push the market up. It is a risk though. If the administration draws a line in the sand with August 1st, then those tariffs come into effect, and I think you see the market take some gas, but. Look, overall, you're coming to a seasonally slow period in September. That tends to get discounted earlier, and people just don't want to put new capital risk. I'm a bit more optimistic on the market only because I think the market's been valuation insensitive.
That's a good point.
When you and I grew up in the market, you as well.
Valuations mattered.
Valuation mattered. Now
Oh, the good old days.
It doesn't matter.
Do you guys think this market is valuation insensitive, aka valuations don't matter? Because I think in some pockets, yes, but I think in other pockets, like the market still actually really does care about valuation. Maybe they care about the narrative attached with the valuation, but I don't think it's a market where valuation doesn't matter at all, which to me is more 2021.
At all. So it's
Is that
purely
because
momentum.
of AI? Are you saying that investors don't think it matters, or is there some other factor leading to valuations being less relevant?
It's not AI.
It's not AI. It's just you have a new cohort of investors that are used to markets only going up. And that may be the right thing to do. I mean, you want to stay invested. You don't want to trade markets. I'm happy to trade them because I've been doing it for so long. But the point is, what could derail the market, to your point, is I don't see the Fed easing in September.
Yeah, I don't either.
I don't see that happening.
So it's certainly not July then, like Christopher Waller is.
I mean, if that doesn't happen, bro, we have some issues. If that doesn't happen and we don't get a cut in September or July, obviously we're going to have some issues. So look, I think there's obviously a point to make that there are some parts of the market that are valuation insensitive. And, last July, this is what happened. Last July, we had a big top in mid-July. Then we started going down. Then we had yen carry trade. And then September, October, we recovered. And November, December was fantastic. I wonder if it's going to play out like that. If this would be the time, like next week would be the time for us to theoretically put in a short-term top and then make our way down and then consolidate in August. And then September is probably going to be kind of crappy. And then October, we get back to normal. But I think that only happens, or not only, but I think that realistically happens if we get bad earnings. And so far, the earnings have been great across the board. I mean, we've been looking at them every morning. American Express, Pepsi, Delta, Levi's, Netflix. Even if the stock's down 5%, Netflix was great. So it's one of those things where it's like, if Google, Amazon, Meta, Microsoft really put up crappy earnings, which they're not, like we know they're not. Like, they're not going to put up bad numbers. They might not beat expectations as aggressively, but they're not going to put up bad numbers. And I don't know exactly why we have to take a pretty precipitous decline. Also, August, we tend to have some weakness, but we also don't tend to have a 22% decline in a couple of days within the month of April every year, and then a 30% rebound, right? Like that is an anomaly. That doesn't happen all the time. So the fact that that happened could shake up kind of the way we think of the end of the summer in terms of how it historically also plays out. And if it does get that bad, then I think there's going to be some really good dip opportunities for a lot of people. So we're going to see till the end of the day or till the end of the summer how that happens. Is Open Door moving a little bit after hours? Where's Open Door? Open Door, yeah, she's moving after hours, folks. 6%. She's moving. Open Door Technologies 237. That's up 44% now collectively during the day with intraday and after hour volumes. That's what you got on Open Door. Mid-August might be a local top, or until fall Santa rally. It's just an election year type of thing. Yeah, I mean, look, the charts for the post-election years definitely show August, September weakness. I just wonder if that has to happen again, given the anomalies of the other macro events we had this year. However, the thing we didn't have over the past couple of years was the extended valuation going into earnings, meaning S&P 500, what she was saying there is correct. We're trading at 22 times. Historically, it's at 20 times. Like, that is a pretty aggressive multiple regardless. Now, granted, you got a lot of fund managers on the sidelines that missed it, and so they're going to have to buy at these levels. But also, it's not like we can deny that that's aggressive. Now, where I think the fund managers will mess up on is if they're waiting for a dip in order to get back in, which is actually really good for the broader market, right? Because if you do get any pain to the downside, there's people there to pick it up. If earnings beat, then that 22 times forward earnings is what Tom Lee's been talking about will expand, because the market is being led by companies that deserve to have that multiple expand, because it's not 1980 anymore with Coca-Cola, GM, and Exxon leading the way. And that's what I think some of the smart money might get wrong this year. And then they're going to have to buy even higher. And then that's when you get a real meltdown, which is kind of what we've seen already to a small extent. And if that happens towards the end of the year, I think that also would be very exciting. The reason TTD probably didn't get bought up today is because usually when they get announced into the S&P 500, that's when the stock runs. But when they get rebalanced, the stock tends to sell off a little bit, which is kind of ironic, right? Because like that's when the buying actually happens. But it's a little bit more of a sell the news for other people once the rebalance actually comes in. We got Matt Money in the chat. Matt, I just saw your tweet and I was going to pull it up right here. Mr. Resident Rocket Lab is in the building. Here is what he just said about the Lab of Rockets. He says, the more I think about it, the more I realize I have no idea what I'm talking about. It's outer space. I know absolutely nothing. We as humanity know absolutely nothing. To think we know more than just a sliver about space would be lying to ourselves. Why is this important? People continually are prodding, Matt, are you trimming any Rocket Lab? No. And here's why. From what I know, I can easily see Rocket Lab being a $50 billion company with Neutron base case, no constellation included. Where the constellation piece comes in gets fuzzy for me. Can the revenue stream and high margins drive the market cap to the hundreds of billions? Who knows? It has for SpaceX. But the market potential for space is unquantifiable at the moment. But what I can quantify for Rocket Lab is a downside of 20 to 25 billion, or approximately where we are today in about 10 years' time as the worst case. So I can own the number 2 company in an unquantifiable and potentially massive market, or sell or trim now. Whether I trim now or the downside is met, I'm in the same spot. I'm playing the long game, ladies and gentlemen. I'm putting my trust into the people that know most when it comes to this space and launch game. And trimming a bit now seems a bit like taking my foot off the pedal in the second inning of a baseball game. Too early to call it. Long Rocket Lab, long Sir Peter Beck, long Adam Spice, long frontline employees at Rocket Lab, long space. Dude, that sounds like an Oscar-winning speech or something, bro. This is the speech Matt Money is gonna give us on the episode when we announce the winners a year from now for the ETF challenge. He's gonna give us this exact same speech when his freaking ETF is up like 80% by that time. He's up 20% right here, 93% on Rocket Lab, 46 on SoFi, 38 on ASTS. Ironically, his anchor Berkshire is down 3%, but that's kind of what it's supposed to do, right? Stay flattish or down to be an anchor. Oscar is down 10. That's his biggest loser. And then Dutch Bro's down 9. ABCL, that's the other one, bro. 41%. That one really took him over the edge. You have a name that wasn't, just really that heavily discussed. And this one ended up taking off of 40% right here. So there you go. Let me know in the chat if is anyone thinking of, I cried a little. Is anyone thinking of selling their Rocket Lab here? I haven't thought of it at all. Obviously, you guys know my thoughts. I do think it's pretty freaking expensive at these levels. But I never thought of like, I want to sell here. I just feel like the potential, just like Matt said, I feel like the potential is just like really, really there And the potential is not going anywhere. Like, we know where this stock is going to be in the long term. And if I'm holding it for the long term, then it doesn't feel as risky as carrying these shares, even though they can take obviously a big haircut if Neutron or earnings don't go the best. But I would still want to hold on to it. Pulte, he's on Fox and he's probably criticizing Jay Powell. Let's see what he has to say.
4.6% last month. Permits for single-family homes also 0.7%. Being the Federal Reserve.
Well, because we just had a president who is probably, I believe, the most popular president in the history of the country. He just won a landslide victory, Charles. And we've got one guy in the form of Jerome Powell who's sitting there like an obnoxious, arrogant, pompous person. And he's saying, I'm not going to quit. I'm going to keep these rates high. And it's hurting people, Charles. It's hurting the American people. And it's time for Jerome Powell to resign.
Bill, I got to say, you know, a year ago when last year before the election, when Powell and company lowered rates 50 basis points before the election, I pushed back against those who said it was political, that he wanted to help Biden. But when I see the same circumstances now, when I see the Fed that said they were data dependent, but when the data wasn't showing in inflation, they started to give a hunch. It makes me feel like maybe you're right. And I mean, do you think somehow Powell is just becoming more human and he's becoming more emotional about this job?
I don't know, but he's a 72-year-old wealthy guy. He doesn't need to pay for a car loan. He doesn't need to pay for a credit card. He doesn't need to pay for a mortgage. And then on top of it, he doesn't like our great president. So I think for all those reasons, this guy's totally out of touch. He's keeping these rates way too high. And frankly, something needs to be done. I think it will be done. I think this building is a disaster. You saw one congressperson come forward and refer him to the DOJ for perjury to Congress.
Right.
I think you're going to see 2 more senators, potentially more. And I think this building thing is not going away. I think he's got some real problems on his hands.
Yeah, and of course, you're referring to the 2.5 building. Let's call it a boondoggle, for lack of a better. The overruns are crazy. Last weekend on the Fed's website, they posted some frequently asked questions trying to get around this. In the meantime, CEOs from major corporations are rallying around Fed. They're saying we need an independent Fed. You know, listen, it's when banks and CEOs say they like the Fed, I don't know if that should help or hurt them, because I'm the average person. I'm saying, of course, CEOs love them. Look at their profit margins. Look at their money they're making, right? So it seems like the big question is Main Street. I don't think Main Street's happy with this Federal Reserve.
Well, and there's nobody who has a better pulse on Main Street than President Trump. President Trump, in my opinion, has the best instincts in the world. And that's not just because I work for him. I mean, you just look at his instincts. He knows what he's doing. And when it comes to Jerome Powell, he's dead on about this. Let me just tell you, Charles, you know, I have a big Twitter following just like yourself. And President Trump's critiques of Jerome Powell are some of the most viral things that I've ever seen go on the internet. People are upset. People are angry. People are sick and tired of paying for these credit card rates that are not commensurate with inflation. I mean, Jerome Powell sees inflation where it doesn't even exist. It's like he goes into a room, he sees a ghost, he says, I see a ghost, and nobody else sees the ghost, which is that tariffs cause inflation. So this guy's a bad guy. I've never said that before, but he is. He's a bad guy. And, you know, I think there's going to be more coming out that's going to be evidence of that.
So how should the Federal Reserve be held accountable, Bill? Listen, I'm of this. I believe that the bigger issue perhaps is that the Federal Reserve is always designed for banks, always designed for wealthy people. That's who was at the meeting at Jekyll Island, right? And when people say, well, they don't want lower rates because it's only going to send the stock market up, we're at a record high. We don't want lower rates because it's going to make rich people richer. They're already rich. They've never been wealthier, right? I mean, you look at how much money Warren Buffett's sitting on $400 billion. He doesn't have to invest it. So these higher yields, these higher rates have only made the wealthy folks more wealthy. The question, though, is who could ever really be in charge of the Federal Reserve the way it's set up right now?
Well, President Trump will make a good decision. I'm very confident in that. Jerome Powell went kind of a different direction under Joe Biden. He kind of bought the TDS bug. I mean, it's very sad what's happened to him, but he's totally out of control. He needs to be reined in. And I'm doing my part to say this is not acceptable. And I think you're going to see Russ vote. He's done a great job sending this letter to Jerome Powell. Jerome Powell responded today, I believe, riddled with falsehoods, riddled with lies. And I don't think it's going anywhere. So we're trying to get a tour of the building, Charles. I think we're going to get a tour of the building here pretty quickly. And we'll let you know what we see once we go inside. But I have a pretty good feeling that we're not going to find many good things have been going on at the Fed for many years.
Yeah.
All right, folks, that was Pulte on the Fed. We have one of our contributors who has just called in on this Friday market close. Steve, how are you?
I'm doing good. Yourself?
I'm doing good. Did you know that there is an S&P Inclusion candidate happening in about 15 minutes?
No, I've been in crazy land for the past 3 days. So no.
Yeah, Robinhood could get in theoretically in the next 15 minutes. It could also be another company, but Hess got acquired by Chevron today officially. So,
yeah, that's a strong acquisition by Chevron.
Yeah, I think do you own Chevron? You've liked it for a while.
I've liked it. I didn't buy it. I have Exxon and BP as my two upstream producers. I was really thinking about buying Chevron. I still may. It's such a good company.
Yeah, I would agree. And that creates the opportunity now for someone to get in. Yeah, overall, we end the day out pretty flat. S&P for the week. Let me just check right here. I think it's up about 1%, a little bit more. Yeah, basically 0.71%. The question now, the narrative that is being formed in a variety of different circles is that we're hitting a local top. What is your perspective on the idea of a local top?
I mean, I don't like when those types of terms occur. I think the rally can extend. If earnings season is good, there's no reason why it can't continue to extend.
That has been my thesis as well for the past couple of weeks. And Netflix, I don't know if you saw the earnings. It wasn't a blockbuster earnings. Get it? Blockbuster. I thought of that on the spot. That's pretty good. But it was still a pretty good earnings, and the stock was down 5%. So if we were in crazy land, the stock would have pumped for no reason, right? And I think earnings still do matter at the end of the day. And if Microsoft has crappy earnings, Microsoft will dump, which is okay.
Once again, Netflix, I haven't looked at the financials recently, but they, I believe, are traded a premium. So I'm not shocked that they had good earnings and went down a little bit. I mean, I think the companies what is Netflix's PE right now?
58.
Exactly. So they're already trading at a lofty premium. So that's what I mean, where I think that the market can expand, but I think pockets of the market are expensive. Netflix being in a pocket that may be expensive. And I think that, those companies that have run tremendously like that, you could see a rotation into companies like Alphabet, Meta. I know I keep saying the same names, but they're cheap. Salesforce is cheap. Amazon is actually cheap when you think about them being most likely the first $1 trillion revenue company in a position where they can lower CapEx in a couple of years when this crazy build-out phase is done and generate an additional 25 to 50 billion free cash flow with pulling a lever. So there are companies that actually have a really good setup for the next couple of years. And then there's companies that ran so much that they don't necessarily have to go down a lot, but they have to grow into the valuation.
Okay, let's talk about Google next week. That's coming up. If you had to give me plus 10% or down 10%, where are you going?
I think plus 10%. I think we saw it with cloud demand. Cloud demand was off the charts last quarter. There wasn't enough capacity. They're spending aggressively to build future capacity. I think YouTube is going to crush. And I think search is not a problem the way other people think search is a problem.
Do you think there's any level of, narrative risk that could find a way to come back into the earnings?
Yeah. If search flatlines and doesn't grow, the stock could go down 15% overnight because you'll see a narrative forming that, well, growth is dead in search. This is going to get cannibalized. It doesn't matter that it just put up 56 billion in freaking revenue. The narrative is going to be in 2 quarters, it's going to be 45 billion. So yes, that is a headwind potentially that could happen.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I have Google. I'm thinking if I should buy more before earnings. The one thing that's kind of holding me back as well is if we are, generally getting a little frothy and they have a quarter, then even if it's deeply undervalued right here, it's not going to make it.
Yeah, but remember, no matter what has happened, whenever the market has got frothy, you've always made a new top, regardless of what the next cycle is. on an immediate basis, you've always, for the long-term investor, always done very well and always made money.
Yeah. That is fair. That is fair. Tesla next week as well, plus 10 or down 10.
I don't know. I mean, it all depends on what he says and if he can get the excitement on the earnings call. I think that it's stabilizing, and if he keeps his freaking name out of the media right now, if he doesn't do anything crazy on the earnings call, it could go up. I mean, that's a straight coin flip. I don't know. I don't think it deserves to be where it is, but that's just me.
Do you think that there is any level of actual numbers they can show that could impress the street? Because we all know the numbers are going to be okay. So you think it's all
no? It doesn't. The numbers don't matter right now. It's what he says, and when he says that he can get in more than 2 cities for robotaxi and start really monetizing it, and when they can alleviate the hiccups with Optimus, because that's the biggest thing. They need to really come to market with these things, and the last headlines about Optimus were not bullish.
Yeah, I mean, the article
He needs to change the narrative. He needs to change the narrative on that.
Yes, I would agree. I would agree. Okay, so S&P 500 right here ended the week basically up 1%. Google and Tesla next week. I'm sure you didn't see some of the earnings that we had this week, but American Express was great. 3M was pretty good.
I haven't seen anything. The building that we're in, 3 of the 4 water cooling towers went down. My server room was burning up at 94 degrees. I had to take stuff offline on Wednesday night, and then it's been a long couple of days for me, so I have not paid attention.
You know, ironically, our AC got fixed today as well, and I was like in a sauna for the past 2 days doing the show in my room, sweating.
Why don't you have a portable AC unit for your room so it doesn't matter what happens with the rest of the house?
Because I mean, I don't we've always had central air, and I don't have a portable. I mean, maybe we do somewhere a portable air conditioner.
Oh, you should listen. You should have a redundancy backup program.
A redundancy.
That's easy for me to say. That's easy for me to say, but because I just basically installed a crazy redundancy program. But yeah, why don't you have a lot of equipment going in your room. God forbid your AC goes out central air, the compressor outside. You should have a freaking freestanding unit you can just pipe into the window.
Well, it got fixed today, and now it's not sweating 24/7. But regardless of kind of what has happened, the earnings have been amazing for the past 3 days. Pepsi crushed.
Look at the financials.
Financials crushed. Delta crushed. Yeah. Levi's crushed. 3M, American Express. I mean, J&J. So far, it's again. If you want to call it a recession, okay, but
we're not in a recession right now, and we maybe next year, but right now we're not. And you're gonna have. I mean, CME Group. I was on their site last night. They're calling for 200 bips reductions over the next year and a half. They're saying we're going to be at 2.5.
But is that bearish or because
that to me that's bullish?
But the reason they're asking for that many cuts is maybe because they think it's going to be pretty bad, economy wise.
I mean, I think that they are smarter than that, and they know what we've been preaching. Or at least I'll say what I've been preaching about corporate debt rolling over, about the housing market needing to be unlocked. You can't have an environment where you're borrowing at such higher rates than where you were borrowing previously. It doesn't create a good, inclusive business environment. And that's what you need. You need to make it advantageous for companies to go borrow and expand, because that is what is going to create jobs. Companies expanding.
No, I don't disagree. Guys, by the way, in 10 minutes, we should get this S&P news. It might be Hood. It might be someone else. So in about 10 minutes, we will see who ends up getting in. Steve, any candidate you think deserves to be in the S&P that's not in there right now?
I don't even know who's not in there that I would even consider. I mean, look, if SoFi gets in there over freaking Robinhood, that would be crazy.
I don't think it's possible because SoFi hasn't held this market cap for a certain period of time. I think that's one of the eligibility requirements.
What's the minimum market cap?
Minimum is 20, but I think you have to hold it for a few months.
Oh, okay.
I could be wrong.
Yeah, so I could see Robinhood getting in. I mean, who else is on the ticket?
App Lovin'.
Come on.
I mean, there's a higher market cap than Hood. I mean,
who knows? I don't know.
It could be another energy company because if they're replacing Hess, they might, go with some random energy company that.
Yeah, but what energy companies are not in the S&P?
That's a good question.
I mean, you got the big upstream producers are Exxon, Conoco, Chevron, Occidental, Diamondback.
Conco, Phillips, EOG,
Yeah.
KMI, Phillips 66, Valero,
But energy
Diamondback.
is such a small segment. I don't know. But look, there are pockets that are really interesting. I know people want the glitz and the glamour, but I think there's some really good buys out there. Like I was looking at UNH's financials last night before I hit the sheets. I'm like, man, at 288, that's really freaking interesting.
Dude, it's at 282 now.
Jesus.
By the way, Cheniere's not in the S&P.
Cheniere is a good freaking company.
Dude, it might be LNG. It might be LNG.
That's a good freaking company. Nobody cares about LNG, so.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Do you own UNH yet or no?
No. So I was actually thinking about buying back my SL Green covered calls. And even though I don't want to, I love this company so much, but I have it in another account, so I'll always be a shareholder. But my core position, I was actually thinking about buying back the covered calls, selling off that core position, and splitting the money between UNH and Salesforce.
UNH and Salesforce. That is what you're thinking. Salesforce was up 1% on the day. If you had to pick between both, I think you would pick Salesforce, though, right?
I would pick Salesforce because I think it's less headline risk at this point. I mean, look, UNH is down 50% on the year. It could be down 70%. I mean, this could go to 225, so I think UNH is becoming a big opportunity. I just don't know how long it's going to take for the street to get bullish on it again. You are getting paid to wait through the dividends and the buybacks. It's yielding over 3% now, so you can just reinvest that capital and get more shares for free. Salesforce, I think, is I would not be surprised if Salesforce becomes a $400 or $500 billion company by the end of next year. I think it is one of the most undervalued tech companies, and I'm really excited about it, and I want to build out a position on it.
Yeah, I think, ironically, Lemonade's been having some green while UNH and Oscar have been red, which is interesting. And
I squeezed the lemon into my iced tea yesterday, but I still won't drink lemonade.
Yeah, this one was up about 3% right here on the day. Oscar's just been demolished. Dude, I'm still trying to figure out why is this thing getting beat up as badly as it is. I don't get it.
They're worried about how the new legislation is going to.
Yeah, but it was 23 and they brought it to 13. Like at some point you would think, all right, the worst is kind of baked in, but maybe not.
I mean, look at Cisco. Cisco's been having a moment. I'm excited for their earnings.
Cisco.
They're at 67 or 68.
Yeah, it's been a good 3 months. They were at 50, 54.
Yeah, I mean, they are a solid company that is going to have mass expansion with all the new data centers coming on. And there's going to be a huge upgrade cycle. We are going to need to upgrade firewalls and some of our switches. I mean, every company that has a footprint, and this is something I always say. When you aren't behind the scenes on an IT side, it's hard to really visualize some of these things, especially like our lives are wireless now. Like back in the day when the internet just came out, you may be too young to remember this, but there was Cat 3 wire running through everybody's houses and people were drilling holes through their floors to run cable and snake it around so you can't see it to connect all the computers. There was no such thing as wireless. So there's going to be a big expansion with upgrading equipment in an AI age. So I think Cisco's in a really good spot, especially since all the new equipment needs subscriptions and there's new security stuff that a lot of corporations need that Cisco is very strong in. So
do you know China's Unitree is filing to go public?
I don't even know what that is.
It's the robotics company. You've definitely seen some of their videos, but
maybe.
Yeah, they make these like dog robots, humanoid robots. Wow.
Oh yeah, I've seen that.
All right, I guess.
You know, I was looking at Serve, and I know Nvidia or somebody exited their position, somebody big, but it's interesting what they're building because I was thinking, you know, one of my coworkers, like made fun of me the other day. She's awesome, but she made fun of me the other day because she couldn't believe that I called a restaurant to order food. What do you mean? It's like you don't do it online. I'm like, no. I'm like, I call and I speak to somebody. I haven't freaking sent it to me. But when I look at Serve Robotics, what they're building, I can completely see a bunch of these little R2D2 units going around the city and freaking delivering food instead of people.
You just call them R2D2.
Yeah, R2D2 units because it's a trash can on wheels.
I mean, I've seen them around New York, but like, do you know what
R2? Do you know what R2D2 is?
Yes, it's from Interstellar. Okay, I know what.
No, it's
I'm
not.
kidding. I'm kidding. It's from Star Wars. I'm kidding.
Okay, thank God, because that you would have got completely roasted. And we will talk about the text message you sent me in a little bit, but yeah, Serve Robotics is interesting. It may not have a good valuation right now, but when I think about the next 5 years, I mean, are we really going to have people? And I gotta say, the place I order from, I don't know how they will deliver it to me so quick. It is unbelievable.
Dude, they know you're a repeat customer. They know if they keep you happy, you'll keep buying, and that's why.
And that the diner that I order from, I swear, if I timed it, depending on what I order, like 12 to 15 minutes is at my door.
Dude, they want to keep you happy. It's
insane.
You're a beloved customer.
But I could completely see these things in areas that don't have a lot of cars, like big cities. I could completely see these things delivering instead of people.
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely see that as well. And that's another argument about the AI revolution with robotics having all these different use cases.
Yeah.
Folks, we got 2 minutes. 2 minutes to see if our hoodie can break through. I don't think we're going to get in. Just to be dead honest, I really don't think they're going to let us in on this one. But if they do, it'd be nice. If they do, it would be nice. App Lovin's on deck. LNG, I think that could be a great candidate if they just replace the energy names. That could get into.
You know what I was thinking about doing?
What?
So you're going to find this hilarious. Your chat's going to roast me for this. But because I know I should be investing in crypto and I just don't want to, I think that every time I buy Pokemon boxes, the same amount of money is going to have to go into a crypto investment.
Wait, why? Why do you want to match it 1-to-1?
I don't know. Because maybe if I make that rule for myself, I'll actually start buying stuff and DCAing into it. So
that's a good idea. So you'll buy more XRP then?
No. I won't be allowed to buy XRP. I'll have to buy.
Why?
I have to buy Ethereum or Solana or Hedera.
You do everything to not buy XRP for someone who loves XRP.
Yeah, because there's a reason behind it.
There is no reason behind this. Like,
there is a reason behind it.
Hold on real quick. I think we got the answer. Is it Carvana? Hold on.
Do not tell me it's Carvana. That company is the most ridiculous freaking... That's going to set me off. The most ridiculous rebound I've ever seen.
Let me see, guys. I want to get full confirmation before I check. I don't have confirmation.
Last time this happened, it didn't come out for like half an hour.
Yeah, but this time that was the official rebounds. This time it has to they have to replace them. All right, Robinhood goes red candle, so it might not be hoodie. XYZ, that one. Big green candle, XYZ. Is it block, guys? Is it block? Did they pick Jack Dorsey? Oh, it's up 9%. Did they pick Jack Dorsey? Did they do it? I will get confirmation, but you can see on your screen that one's running. Let me see. It is up how much now? It feels like it. I mean, up 15% kind of feels like it. Let's see. I don't have confirmation yet. I don't have it yet. I have no confirmation at all. It's XYZ. No, it's not XYZ. No, I still don't have confirmation yet. Just want to get the official source, but I mean, the stock moving like that does make you think it is. Hoodie's down. Are we? Where is Hoodie? Hoodie is 108. It's down about $1. Not crazy, but on their website, do I have the answer? On their website, I do not have the answer. Look, XYZ is running, but I don't have the official answer yet. Don't have the official one. What about AppLovin? Is AppLovin down? AppLovin is down. I mean, why else would XYZ be up 15%, right? Like, it has to be. Website has nothing. I don't see official sources, but that one up 15% has to be something. I have no confirmation. I cannot confirm it. I have nothing. I have no source that's confirming it. No source. It's on the S&P website. Let me check. If the website reloads, the website's not reloading. If anyone has the link, you could text it to me on Twitter or tag me in it. I just really want to see. TTD got in a week ago, so it's not TTD. Yeah, TTD was last time. You guys are saying block, but like someone's got to send the actual confirmation if you're for sure saying it, because I don't see it on my side. Oh yeah, there it is. Confirmed. Confirmed. It's block. It's block. It is block. Confirmed. All right, everyone can go home. See you guys later. Why won't they let us in? What is going on here? What is happening? We are 2 times the size of a block. What even is a block? Ticker symbol XYZ. The dumbest thing ever. Block. Why are they blocking us from getting to the S&P 500? What is going on? Can someone? I just want to know. I just want to know. I said we weren't going to get in today because I have no faith in this committee, because apparently they like Jack Dorsey more than the guy who's democratizing finance across the country. Anyway, I'm done. Steve, your reaction to block. Wait, Steve, weren't you bullish on block all year? Like, shouldn't you be happy about this?
I exited my position.
Oh shit, I forgot.
After it went to like 48 and it rebounded to like 63, I took a very small haircut on that because I dollar cost average down, and I just got out. And I redeployed the money to places that made me good money, so it's all fine.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm just like joking around here. Obviously, Block is a great company. They do deserve the what do you call it? Like
the problem with Block is the expectations were phenomenal, and then they destroyed Q1 earnings, and not in a good way, and their guidance wasn't good. So it just completely reset expectations. So,
well, look, here's my thing. This is a good company. Market cap of $45 billion. They are a phenomenal company in terms of Cash App and what they've done for small businesses, yada, yada. Like, I will give them all the praise in the world. Jack Dorsey, I don't love him as a CEO, but he's not a whore. I mean, the guy came up with Twitter and Block. He's a legend in Silicon Valley, big Bitcoin guy. My issue is, if they were going to pick a financial, which is what Block is, financial services, Cash App is literally their biggest product, for them to pick Block and Block's revenue growth, Block's EPS growth, Block's execution over Robinhood, it just feels a little freaking crazy. That's it. It feels like, and you don't even, and Steve, for those that are listening, Steve, who's on the phone right here, he doesn't even own Robinhood, but he can acknowledge, as you have many times, that their execution has been unbelievable.
Execution's phenomenal. And look, I never thought they'd get to this point. I thought this company was a joke. I couldn't understand why anybody used them. I still have a hard time understanding why people use them. And they've executed, and their growth is phenomenal. Their operating margin is phenomenal. And when you think about how much more they can siphon from the legacy components in the financial sector, I mean, it could be pretty big. Like, Hood could have a mountain of growth ahead of them. They really could.
It's just weird, dude. Like Block's earnings they're not even growing anywhere near. The Hood's growing at 50%. Block's barely growing at 20%. Like they're not buying back their shares. They're like, this is not their. Also, why are they picking a $40 billion company over a $90 billion? Like, I know market cap is not the only determinant, but like, what person in the committee was like, hey, instead of Hoodie?
I'm a little surprised that Robinhood has a bigger market cap than CME Group. Maybe it's not anymore. Maybe if it's down, it's a little bit less. But around the same size as CME Group, like I can't believe it.
No, it just comes down to growth, execution, culture, narrative, and you can't say enough good words about how much they've shown to the world that
culture, huh? Culture?
Yeah, I mean, dude, they only have 2,400 employees.
What do you think about the astronomer situation?
Oh, we've laughed enough about that. Yeah, that was you got put on leave today. So,
I mean, it's just crazy.
I think the committee is looking to see how much resilience Hood has since they're a brokerage. That's a fair point. That's a fair point. I mean, maybe the committee's saying, hey, Hood is way too cyclical, and if we bring them in, then they'll tank eventually if we have a bad market. But I don't think Block's going to be surviving if we have a bear market. I mean, they're not surviving in the sense that they go bankrupt, but just like, their stock's not going to hold up. People are going to sell off. I mean, we saw what happened in 2022, 2023. This is the biggest laggard of all the financials outside of PayPal. Like,
dude, how about the yield max stuff? How ridiculous are those ETFs?
Someone was just asking me about this. I told them to read your article. Yes, those are doing very well.
I really can't believe it.
Block is at a 20 PE. Hood is at an 80 PE. Look, Hood is definitely more expensive. So if the committee is actually looking at straight up valuation metrics, then maybe that's how they came to their conclusion. Granted, this is the same committee that picked Williams-Sonoma. So it's just like some of this stuff is.
Dude, don't knock Williams-Sonoma.
What do you mean don't knock Williams-Sonoma? They sell coffee machines.
Don't knock them.
Like it's just weird, bro. It's just weird. I'm sorry. I mean, the fact that they picked the financial is pissing me off more, because if they picked LNG, I'd be like, whatever. It's an oil company or an energy company. But they picked a financial, and they specifically said we're not going to pick Hood as our financial.
Kind of weird. Almost as weird as you saying that Entourage is an iconic show.
Oh, Entourage is absolutely. Put in the chat if you think Entourage is a 2004 debuted, absolutely iconic show.
Yeah, so
I enjoyed it.
You didn't even watch it.
What are you talking about?
You didn't watch it.
I did watch it.
You've watched one episode and you couldn't even get through the whole thing.
Dude, I bought an HBO Max subscription just for watching Entourage. What are you talking about?
Okay, so you watched every season?
I watched Entourage, yeah.
You saying you watched Entourage and not answering if you actually watched every season are two different things.
The problem with being so semantic is that you lose sight of the bigger picture. And that's
No, I'm not losing sight of the bigger picture. Like, you could have watched Entourage for 10 minutes, which I know you did. But that doesn't mean you actually watched Entourage.
Hold on real quick. We might have some other breaking news. Webull just filed something. It looks like it's dilution.
Don't care.
Okay, you don't care, but some of these other people own Webull, so they might care. Let me pull this up, guys. But okay, no, I didn't watch Entourage, but I've seen the first episode, so
Can you please? What is your chat saying? Are they agreeing that Entourage is iconic?
Yes, everyone's agreeing that Entourage is iconic.
Like, can you please watch it?
Dude, how can I watch it when the committee's picking Block over Hood? Like, obviously, I'm a bit distracted here.
Because you're going to need something to do tonight to take your mind off of things.
Okay, it looks like Webull just diluted 75 million shares from some Cayman Islands company. $12.56 is the purchase price. What is this, dude? What the hell does anyone understand what we're looking at right here? Is this a filing, or this looks like? Is this an at the money? This prospectus relates to the offer and sale from time to time. Oh, that's Yorkville for $12.56 a share for 75 million shares. Oh, this might be the Yorkville thing they announced a while ago, but like this is the specifics of it. but I think they already filed it. I don't know. This is kind of weird. I'll put the link in the chat if anyone wants to read this SEC filing. But they just filed it just now. Yeah, guys, block is in. Block is in up 15%. Anyways, yes, I will try on charge again. I should try it again. I watched it like 5 months ago.
Try it again because it's one of the most iconic shows HBO's ever produced.
Okay, I'll try it again. I will try it again. All right, Steve. I'll try to break down some of this S&P stuff, and I'll call you on the weekend.
You know what? You're a good role model. I don't know who's a better role model. You know, that's a freaking poll that I should run. Who's a better role model, Admit or Tanner?
Oh, Tanner. Speaking of Tanner, he just said to send him a link. So Tanner's about to hop on the show right here.
Oh, boy, Mr. Mustache.
He said he needs to vent. Tanner, why did they pick Block over Hood? I don't get it, dude. I don't get it.
What does Tanner need to vent about?
About one of his positions getting faded by the S&P for Cash App.
I mean, I don't know.
Tanner, I just sent you the link. The good thing is, guys, Hoodie is not really tanking on this. I mean, the fact that we're holding 109, bro, I'll take that any day of the week. I will take that any day of the week. So at least we're not tanking, but they picked
I mean, you could be tanking. You just start playing some WoW.
What'd you say?
You could be tanking if you play some WoW.
If I play some MAU? Oh,
WoW, World of Warcraft.
Is that a term in WoW, tanking? Is that a thing?
Yeah, you're... Oh, my God.
Dude, I don't play WoW. What do you want me to say? Like,
I don't know what to say anymore.
Tanner, what's up?
Not happy, bro. I think there were other names that they could have put in that was not, Robinhood. The fact that they put a financial, fintech, consumer name, and in no way does Block look like a better company than Robinhood. I mean, there's not a single metric. I don't know what's going on. This was super weird. Obviously, I'm not calling for any conspiracy. I just think this was a bad call. Like, I don't know if they're trying to play buying the bottom here versus buying Robinhood at 100, but Robinhood is going higher.
Do you think it was and I'm as annoyed as you. As soon as I saw it was a financial, that really, like, I was like, okay, I guess this is happening. Do you think it's valuation? Block's at a 20 PE, Robinhood's at 80, Block's not as cyclical. Do you think that stuff is what they're looking at?
I mean, maybe, but look at the forward growth rates here. Like Block is now bleeding monthly active users. Like, they're not doing as well as people think they are. It's why the stock continues to crash. They are in a similar field to what Robinhood is in, and they are trying to hit a rule of 40 and are failing greatly. So the growth rate's not there. The margins are not there. The quality of the customer, the acquisitions have been bad. The website traffic, like forward looking, every single month, Cash App shows off worse metrics than they did the month prior. I mean, that is the opposite of a growing company. Yeah. If I could show you the difference between Robinhood and Cash App here, this is a pretty interesting little picture here. This is Cash App's. This is their faster growing business. So Square, their other side of their business, is doing even worse. Okay.
Yeah.
This is going down into the right. Robinhood's is right here. They're doing phenomenally. And even then we've seen a slower quarter in terms of crypto. So crypto is not what's driving Robinhood up, because if you take a look at Coinbase's, this is not crypto. Crypto on retail has actually been not as exciting as what the pricing has been, because a lot of that traffic has been driven by institutional.
Right.
Cash App is failing. Like, I don't know. They have crypto as well, but it's only Bitcoin.
No one buys crypto on their Cash App, bro. No one freaking.
Well, I'm sure they do to some degree for Bitcoin. Like Jack Dorsey is, very much a Bitcoin fan, but he's a Bitcoin maximalist. He doesn't care about Ethereum. I don't even think you can get any extra altcoins on the platform. The only crypto I think that you can buy is BTC. Someone can correct me on that, but I think that's the case.
Yeah.
I was blown away to see a financial, a fintech. You're choosing Block over IBKR. You're choosing Block over Robinhood.
Yeah, if they picked IBKR, honestly, I still would be like that's an incredible pick.
Yeah.
But fading, like it seems like they don't like brokerages, which is just weird in an age where this could be the best decade to be an investor, and brokerages uniquely are going to benefit from that, you know?
Yeah, by the way, Bull is dropping. You might want to pull this up. They're down 9%.
Oh boy. So they just came out with a filing. I still don't know what the hell this filing means, but it's 75 million shares. It has to do with Yorkville. I don't know exactly what it means. I'll try to get some details, but it looks obviously bearish.
Yeah. I don't know. I didn't take a read on that. I just saw the S&P thing and just saw red. I mean, there were a bunch of names that I would have thought, okay, that was perfectly fine. Block was not on that list.
Webull may sell up to 75 million Class A shares to Yorkville under a one. Okay, so they diluted by 75 million shares today at 12.56. So they dumped 75 million shares at 12.56. Okay.
Great. That's awesome.
It's so funny how it ran up the day. Like it's almost like people bid it up because they knew this would happen. I'm not saying that's the case, but like we've seen this happen so many times across the market.
Bro, I'm sorry. Robinhood has over a 100 rule of 40. Okay. They're not diluting anymore. Jack Dorsey is talking with the Telegram guy to make a WhatsApp competitor. He's not even at the company, bro.
Before I continue, Steve, any reaction to what Tanner's saying?
No, I mean, it's Robinhood is a great company. I just think the valuation's rich, but I don't think valuation necessarily is a big component of what goes into the S&P on a rebalance.
Webull, by the way, guys, down about 15% right here. Tanner, go ahead, Tanner.
I was just going to say, it looks rich right now. We have banking coming on the back of this, which can bring on extremely high revenue per customer, cross-sell a 26 million user base. And like they are nowhere near done their growth here. And then we get into international businesses, right? Tokenization is going to be huge. Genius Act just got signed into law. They have so much ahead of them. They could take on the payment space. They could take on Cash App peer-to-peer payments. I mean, none of this is past what Vlad sees as being a one-stop shop. Okay, you think anyone is going to keep their Cash App whenever Robinhood tries to enter that market? People are going to keep their debit cards that you can draw pictures on over a gold card? Not a chance. Like, I don't know. I'm being a little bit biased here.
Let's put on the tinfoil hat. What's your tinfoil hat theory?
Robinhood's a young company, and there's some maturity or seasonality that they see in, or not seasonality, but just, veterans. Block's been a public company for a long time. They've been around. That's my tinfoil hat. But even then, I mean, they've started roughly around the same time. I think Block started in 2011, 2009, maybe something like that with Square. Cash App came a little bit later, 2015, I think.
Theory.
Okay, what's your tinfoil?
And everybody still looks at it as GameStop and looks at Robinhood as bullshit.
That's a hell of a point. That's a hell of a
because
point.
You guys aren't going to say that you're not thinking about it. But that's the tinfoil hat there. That they're looking at it the way that I used to look at it. That it's a bullshit company, that the GameStop scandal, even though it's so far removed, and why would anybody use it? Because everybody that's voting on this probably used freaking they probably still call somebody to place a trade.
Tanner, you think the committee still hates them for GameStop?
I would be disappointed if that was the case. The funny thing is that M&A markets have been picking up, so we've gotten to see a lot of these hey, maybe they get in today. That's usually not even how they rebalance. So we've been getting lucky. Time will tell if in the next 2 rebalances or so whether they pick them up. But during that time, Robinhood still should continue the growth. I mean, they'll have to see that, right? Like, there will be great margins on new products and everything that's expanding. So as long as they keep doing...
They could be looking at it as it's only a retail stock. Only retail is freaking talking about it, and only retail is getting excited about it.
But then why do they pick Palantir?
Palantir because you had analysts actually really going crazy.
No, Steve. Robinhood has a 75% institutional flow.
Yeah, I was bringing that up.
I get that, but there's a lot of people that still think it's a bullshit company.
No, but there's 12 analysts. They all have like $85 to $120 price target. I mean, this is not seen as like a meme on the street at all.
If you want a tinfoil hat conspiracy, that's the biggest one that makes sense.
I agree.
But people are just not taking them seriously because the numbers justify when you look at operating margin in the mid 30% range, especially from a brokerage company. That is very impressive. So
yeah, I don't think it's retail heavy because Palantir was retail heavy and they still got Palantir in. I think your first argument that the GameStop stuff, they're afraid of it happening again, and it caused a congressional hearing, yada yada. That stuff they're afraid about. But a lot of companies in the S&P 500 have had legal issues. It's like Meta with Cambridge Analytica, right? Like
legal issues is one thing, but the stigma that was left on Robinhood and the fact there are so many other brokerages out there, I'm telling you, the tinfoil hat is that why would anybody use them? Who cares? That's a tinfoil hat because the numbers are good. Maybe overvalued or they may need to grow into the valuation, but the numbers are solid.
Yeah. No, I think in that regard, then you should put in Block. Like, what are we talking about?
That is weird, bro.
Put in Block.
That is weird. It's not beloved on Wall Street. Retail.
Look at the amount of fines and everything that people are saying. Like I saw Timothy Sweeney post about how this is a regulatory concern. There has been no other company that's been fined as much as Block has in the last year. I mean, they have just been getting ransacked with fees and stuff like this.
Why?
ALM or AML concerns like anti-money laundering, stuff like this. There was that whole conspiracy thing that gangs are transacting, business and drug sales through Cash App, stuff like that. So they caught like a $75 million fine, a $40 million fine. There's been a bunch really recently. They're trying to improve it, and I don't think that Block is a bad company. I think that the product is good, but overall, just their growth in their user base, their ability to expand has not been there. There's no one from Venmo or Robinhood or any of these apps that are going, oh, you know what? Cash App's products actually are, really intriguing. That's long gone.
Yeah, I would agree. The thing here though is like, look, we didn't get into the S&P, but no one's complaining about the stock performance. Earnings we know are going to be strong. Trump mentioned Vlad today at the crypto legislation stuff. Like all of these things are massive tailwinds. They got banking coming out soon. They have a big event for active traders, like tokenization. So all the catalysts are there. It is just the weirdness of none of those catalysts converging to get the committee to recognize this is a top 500. This is a top 50 company in the United States of America right now.
Yeah. And they truly are being an innovator right now. They're pushing the limits. Maybe that's what they think, is that maybe they're not a regulatory issue right now. Maybe they will be into the future. I do see Robinhood pushing the bounds, but like all the biggest and fastest growing companies do that all the time. Meta pushes the limits all the time. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
There's a difference between Meta and Robinhood, though.
100%. There's a difference between Meta and Robinhood, but like the S&P is supposed to get a stock in when it's not become a massive company, so that there's still alpha for the S&P 500, right? So it's like, it's just weird.
I don't know. We will end up seeing, I think that the hunger between the CEOs of Jack Dorsey, who I don't even think shows up to the office, like literally from what I've heard from industry people, is like it's like a Zen office there. Like it's come in when you want, leave when you want. The work ethic is not there at Robinhood. People are afraid to go work at Robinhood because that this will be a full-time job.
We literally, Tanner and I were at California. We talked to a head Uber engineer, and I think he's like 32, 33. And he was like, I can't apply to work at Robinhood because I talked to people there, and Uber is like a little bit more chill. They're a much bigger company. They're relaxed. Robinhood, I would be working 24/7.
Yeah. He said he values his work-life balance, so he doesn't want to work at Robinhood.
That's a lot of jobs, though.
I know a lot of jobs that end up growing shareholder returns and actually seeing some great progress.
Like a lot of people I know don't shut the phone off at 5 o'clock.
I get it, but we're talking about tech companies. Robinhood again only has 2,000 employees. Every employee is worth a couple $1 million of revenue, so they have to earn their keep there. Block, Block is disgusting. If anyone's
this is not Robinhood versus the S&P 500. I know there's a lot of companies that are hungry as well. This is Robinhood versus Block right now. That's a direct comparison. They're not the same culture. They're not the same growth rates. There's not the same margin. They're not the same, moat of products. No one needs Cash App anymore. There's payments. Like the Genius Act just got signed into law today, and then you're going to put a payments company in? What are we talking about? Like, this is old school tech now. Like,
okay, but Tanner, real quick, before we continue, Robinhood does not have Timothy Chalamet for Cash App.
So true. So true. I'm sure he did it for free.
I mean, Timothy Chalamet? I mean, that get S&P 500 ASAP on Timothy Chalamet,
Yeah. I'm sure he just did it for the love of the game. They probably didn't even have to pay a sales and marketing fee. But that's what Robinhood has, or that's what Cash App has to do, by the way, in order to attract virality, is they have to pay for people. Who's Robinhood paying? They don't need to.
They don't need to.
All right, guys, that's it for me. I got to cool down.
Yeah, dude. Thanks
Maybe
for
next
your
time.
analysis. Linking Tanner's Twitter right here in the chat. You guys can follow him there. Tanner, I'll talk to you later.
Peace.
Anna, I'm going to run a poll about who's a better role model, you or Matt.
I didn't really hear that.
He said he's going to run a poll on who's a better role model, me or you.
Amit for sure. I give Amit that 100%.
Have you seen Entourage?
No.
See, so
what?
We're both horrible role models, Steve. There you go.
Tanner's joking.
No, he
I'm not
actually
joking.
studies balance sheets instead of watching Entourage. Okay. Tanner,
I watch a lot of
great weekend.
things. After Steve told me to watch The Sopranos, I watched like the first 4 seasons or something. So I listened to him, but I have not seen Entourage.
Oh no, you're a better. Hold on, you're a better role model because I don't listen to any shows he recommends. I watch it for 5 minutes and I get bored. He had to force me to watch Old School last week.
I think you should watch Dazed and Confused. That's one of the best.
I agree 100%.
One of the best movies of all time. That'll be my movie recommendation for this weekend.
I want to watch Hoodie get into the S&P 500. That's what I want to watch. That's what I really.
You're gonna have to wait a little bit longer.
All right,
Good
Tanner.
day.
Thank you.
Peace out.
Peace out. All right, Steve. I guess that's it for today.
All right.
I will call you over the weekend. I'll watch Entourage. I mean, I have nothing to do now, given Hood's not in the S&P 500. So
it'll make you. It's a feel-good show.
I hope it makes me feel better. I'll watch it.
You watch a Big Bang Theory?
Like a long time ago, bro. I used to like.
Okay. Episodes are like that. It's 24 minutes or so. They go quick. It's very good.
All right. I'll watch it then. Thank you, Steve.
Man, you guys are really depressed, aren't you?
I'm not depressed. I mean, look, dude, the stock's up $5 today. Like, I'm happy. It's the fact that it's Block. If they picked any other company, whatever, Block is the one that I can understand why Tanner's pissed off right now. So.
I think you guys would still be upset.
Not as much, but yes.
Not as much, but I think you'd still be upset.
Yeah. All right, Steve. I'll call you later.
Later.
Dude, they picked freaking Block. Okay, this Webull thing, guys. So this is why I brought it up when Steve was talking, just so I could at least show anyone the news. I still don't fully understand this, but it looks like they're dumping 75 million shares at $12.56. But the one thing I'm confused about here is I don't think they're actually dumping 75 million shares. They're just 75 million times 1256 is $1 billion. And they said they were going to dilute by about $1 billion, right? So I feel like this is just describing the terms of the Yorkville thing versus literally saying we've officially dumped 75. We've sold 75 million shares. Now, if I'm not, I might be reading it wrong, but if they already did it, then they just raised $942 million. So their enterprise value theoretically has added $1 billion to the balance sheet, which is like technically good. Obviously, they had to dilute to get there, but I don't think they actually dumped 75 million shares. but they just IPO'd. Yeah, well, that's why I felt so uncomfortable holding this thing after the Yorkville things. I'm like, why are they raising money after they IPO, especially from Yorkville? They couldn't go to JP Morgan or Goldman Sachs. They couldn't go to anyone better than Yorkville. So I don't really know. I don't know exactly if this SEC filing says they've dumped it or if they're going to dump and they're just describing the terms. But regardless, algorithms after hours are reacting to what's happening. Don Vin, thanks for the $5 super chat. Cheer up. It's Friday. The stock doesn't care about the S&P after you watch Entourage. You, Tanner, Steve, and Chris should do a reboot. It's a good idea. Look, honestly, dude, I'm actually not like super upset or depressed or anything like that. I mean, look, Robinhood's had an incredible run. I mean, this entire month has been amazing for them. Their year has been awesome. Vlad was on TV today talking about how, you know, crypto is going to change the world. He was meeting with Trump. So like all like the company is doing great. The progress is doing great. It's just a bit annoying for it not to be recognized by the S&P committee. That's all. And if we had picked an oil and gas company, an energy company, I wouldn't care because you're replacing Hess for like Cheniere. But if you're replacing Hess for a financial, that means they had a choice of financials and they deliberately said Jack Dorsey deserves it more than Vlad. And I'm sorry, but that's just not true. It's just not true. Like I obviously I'm biased here, but the execution by Jack Dorsey, who's a phenomenal entrepreneur, has not lived up to, not even close to the execution by Vlad this year. And it's just not being recognized. Just not yet. Not yet. Now, granted, Hood's not tanking, which is nice. Hood's not tanking. So it's not like everyone was expecting them to get in, which is a good thing. NVIDIA right here, 172 after hours. Open Door is pumping. I don't know what's going on with Open Door, but that's at 261 after hours. So if you're in this one is pumping. But yeah, Hood did not get in. Robinhood did get blocked. So that's correct. To make you feel better, it took Palantir 3 to 4 quarters to get in. Well, I think Robinhood has been eligible, if I'm not wrong, since December of last year. So this would be the third quarter, which means maybe the fourth one is when we get in. But I don't know. September, we'll have another chance. The thing about September is they might not do another rebalance because, again, in June, they said we don't need to do a rebalance. The only reason they've been rebalancing is because companies have been getting acquired. So they need another name. But in September, if they say, hey, we don't need to do a rebalance, then there's just no S&P for the rest of this year. And it is what it is. And then maybe next year, we have a shot. Big companies not over the GameStop stuff. Yeah, I think Steve is correct about that. I think that is the one theoretical conspiracy that could be holding this up. The GameStop stuff too, like I really dug in. When I was doing my original DD on Robinhood, I tried to understand what the hell happened with GameStop. And when you look into it, it was not Hood's fault. It was a clearinghouse technical error. Quite frankly, it was the settlement laws that we have in this country, which is why stablecoins, ironically, are going to resolve a lot of that stuff. In regards to what the clearinghouses and what Apex needed in order for Robinhood to be able to put up the collateral for all the billions of trades that they had coming in on their platform via GameStop. What was Robinhood's fault was the communication. Just horrible communication, and Vlad has acknowledged this. And number two, you could say that taking away the buy button, which a lot of other brokers did as well, pretty much every other broker did, it's just all of retail was on Hood, so they got the blame for it, wasn't the best solution. But when you actually go deep into it, there wasn't another solution because of the settlement times around all the money they needed to put up to collateralize these trades with the $3 billion of GameStop trades that were coming in over the past basically 48 hours from like January 27th to the 29th when everything started going down. Did Hood do perfectly during that time? No. But is that something that should be a stain on their legacy forever? I'm like, no, like move on. Like life goes further, right? Like Meta, Cambridge Analytica, so that messed them up forever? No, Meta's a $2 trillion company now, right? Like Google's done some stupid, like every company has weird things in their past. It's part of becoming an actual company. And some of those things are not good. And you acknowledge it, you move on. Robinhood got punished. Their stock fell 80% for almost 3 years. And they had to rise like a phoenix from the ashes to try to bring this company back to life. So if that is the reason they're being held down, I think it would be ridiculous. I think it would be ridiculous. Hood messed up GME traders. I'm not denying that. And I'm definitely not saying that Hood played no role and they couldn't have done things better and the communication of it couldn't have been done better. Like it was bad, but it was also the past. And I feel like they've done more than enough to move on from that. So I don't know, dude. if that's the reason, that would be a stupid reason. But I kind of feel like that's not the reason. I think they genuinely think Block's a better company. And then my question is, it's kind of like the Grammys, right? You know, it's like someone, it's like when Kendrick Lamar didn't win in 2012 and they picked Macklemore. Like The Thrift Shop, great song, but to say that Good Kid, Mad City was a worse album than Macklemore's album in 2012. Good Kid, Mad City is regarded as one of the like literal top 5 best rap albums of all time. It didn't win Best Album of the Year at the Grammys because maybe some of those people who were making the decision on the committee didn't really understand rap music. So maybe you got some people who are on this Illuminati committee. No one knows their names on the S&P committee. It's not public. Maybe they don't fully understand like what's going on in the modern economy. Yeah, these are the same people that picked William Sonoma, which now isn't even eligible to be in the S&P 500 because the market cap eligibility requirements went up and they went down because their stock's been down. So they picked a company that literally could not even stay eligible for 5 months inside of the S&P. So I don't know. It is what it is. Anyway, the good thing that I think we can hold our hat on is that the stock is not tanking. There wasn't massive expectations for this. We're actually up after hours, 109.30. And I think we'll be fine outside of any sort of broader macro event that could take the stock down. Dude, even if we go back to 95, I know it would suck for everybody, but like this is a stock that has just shown massive resilience and momentum, and more people are entering into the name. And I think their continued execution will take this one higher towards the end of the year. It's getting a premium because I think it's a generational company, and eventually the S&P will hopefully acknowledge that. Rick, thanks for the $10. Any thoughts on AMD? It's run a lot over the past 2 weeks, overhyped or run just starting. I do not think AMD is overhyped. I think they are obviously second to NVIDIA. They don't have the type of growth NVIDIA has, but they don't necessarily need the type of growth NVIDIA has, given their valuation is significantly lower. AMD, $250 billion, NVIDIA at $4 trillion. If you believe in this AI revolution, AMD is going to play a massive role. And I think anyone who doubts that should really look up the relationship between AMD and Meta and how much AMD has contributed to Meta's GPU success. A lot of people think Meta's CapEx is to NVIDIA. It's a good chunk of it, but a lot of it goes to AMD as well. So I do not think AMD is overhyped as well. I think if NVIDIA keeps doing its thing, AMD will do its thing as well. But yes, it's up a lot, and AMD and NVIDIA both could take a bit of a breather based on this run. All right, I think that's it, folks. I think that's it. Shout out to Jose, our resident AMD and NVIDIA bull, and it says we'll be fine. I'll sleep calmly now. Jose, I think I need to invite you next time we have the S&P inclusion stuff, and you just need to talk. Just say words. Just let words come out of your mouth. Because every time you do that, Robinhood tends to benefit. So maybe that's what we need to do next time. Open Door 261. Again, I'm not in Open Door. We read through the thesis yesterday, the sort of viral Wall Street Bets post. The argument is they have a lot of cash and that their business model is kind of changing and that they're heavily shorted. I don't think that's enough of a compelling thesis for me. I've seen what happened with Webull, right? I chased it and I got kicked in the ass from chasing it. Not even because it went up and then down and went up and then down and now it's back down, but because I didn't really believe in it. And when you don't really believe in it, you just never know what's going to happen. And you don't have the ability to stay in it if there's weakness, or to sell into strength if you think there's not enough momentum. So it's kind of just like you're stuck, and I'd rather just have a real thesis. So for those chasing Open Door, again, it's momentum. Maybe it turns into something real, but this one is moving after hours up about 60%. So there we go. Mid-Century, thanks for the $5 super chat. Open season, bought $2, 725 calls, the dip at 191. Yeah, look, I mean, if it trades higher on momentum, the calls are going to print. Open Door, by the way, speaking of calls, today in the options market, I forgot to show you guys this. Open Door was number 4 on the most traded option contracts in the market. So you had Tesla and NVIDIA at 1 and 2, then MSTR, Open Door, then Robinhood at 1 million contracts, then Apple, Coinbase, AMD, Marathon, iBit, Palantir, Amazon, Netflix, SoFi, Meta, Circle, Lucid, the Ethereum ETF, Google, and then Webull, number 20 at 453,000. But Open Door was up there with 1 million contracts traded. So again, it's momentum. Momentum's there. And if they continue to hold on to that momentum and the company can actually put up earnings, maybe there's a story there on that one. All right. I think that's it. I think that is it. All right, XYZ, they got in. Congratulations to those who hold XYZ. Hopefully, Robinhood gets in next time. Again, incredible week. First of all, from the bottom of my heart, thank you everybody for joining every single day, 2 times a day. It's been incredible. This is one of those weeks where, it's just exciting to cover the markets. A lot of people hit all-time highs in the portfolio. Year-to-dates are looking very well. If we take a little bit of a breather, I think all of us can expect that. We are in earnings season. If that execution can continue from some of these companies, then hopefully momentum can continue. Next week's a big one, Tesla and Google. Tesla and Google. I will be buying Tesla, 100 shares, either on Monday or on Tuesday. I will be buying it before earnings. I'll let everyone know when I do. My strategy is to sell some calls against it and to DCA if it tanks, if it goes up. I will manage the situation. But at this point of the year, I am ready to build out the Tesla portfolio or the Tesla position in the portfolio. Google, it'll be a game time decision if we buy more. I have enough Google, so I'm not too worried about buying more. But I think Tesla and Google will do well. I think Tesla numbers are going to be kind of but maybe Elon can make it better. I think Google numbers will be good. Hopefully Sundar can inspire and get the street to think in a more positive way of their AI narrative. And those two will kind of define what we have going on next week. In terms of other companies besides Tesla and Google, you have Chipotle, ServiceNow, IBM, T-Mobile, SAP, Verizon, Domino's, AT&T, Fiserv, Moody's, CME, Coke, Intel, Deckers, Blackstone. I mean, you got a lot of names, but Tesla and Google, those are the big ones. Tesla and Google are the big ones on Wednesday after the bell. And then July 30th, we have Hood, and we also have Webull. Not Webull, Grab. Webull's, I think, is in end of or early August. Let me actually check when Webull's is. But Grab and Hood on July 30th, which is going to be a little hard to do all of that because it's going to be a lot of earnings. Oh, also we have Microsoft and Meta on July 30th. Hold on. Do we? I think we do. On July 30th. Yeah, dude. We have Microsoft, Meta, Robinhood. Grab is towards the end of the day, so that's not that. It's not going to be happening at the same time. But then you have Qualcomm, ARM, Microsoft, Meta, and Hood at the same time. So that one's going to be a big one. 731 Coinbase. Yep, that's a big one. Hood is going up a little bit after hours, so recovering some. I mean, dude, the strength on Hood, look at that. It's about to hit 110. The strength on Hood, again, has just been exceptional. So, again, it's not about the stock at all. Like, not upset or annoyed about the stock. I'm just like, as a shareholder in the company before the stock, I'm annoyed the company is not getting the recognition that, like, I think it deserves. But, yeah, I guess we're going to see eventually when it happens. By the way, I'm on Webull's website. They haven't announced the date for their Q2 earnings. So whenever they do that, we'll know more for them. All right. That is it. It is Friday. Enjoy the weekend. I'll be back on Sunday night. We are not doing Palantir Weekly again. I know you guys are probably going to be mad, but like I told you guys, Arnie was traveling. He can't make it. I just found out I have some event tonight with my parents, so I can't make it either. So we're going to have to figure out a new time for Palantir because Fridays are just not working anymore. It's just not. So we might have to do it like during the week so that everyone can actually make it. So I'm going to talk with the guys and see if we can do this on like a Tuesday night or something because it's Fridays just becoming impossible for everybody. So we'll try to get that back soon next week. And then we'll keep going from there. So, all right, that's it. Thank you, everybody. Incredible week in the markets. Grab 534, Google 185, S&P 627, SoFi 2174, Tessie 329, Robinhood 109.75, and Palantir 153.35. Thank you again, everyone, for being here this entire week. Thank you all for the super chats again. Very, very, very kind. You do not have to do that, but I deeply appreciate the super chats. And yeah, blessed to be able to do this every single day. And we'll keep doing it. And next week's going to be a big one for Tesla and Google. And we'll be here every step of the way. All right. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. Enjoy the weekend. I'll be back for the Sunday futures later this weekend. Bye, everybody. Have a good one.